Gun Runner reaching for the wire, collected alongside, and then comes West Coast and War Story. But Gun Runner's on top of the world. He wins the Breeders' Cup Classic.
In 2017, Gun Runner punctuated his Horse of the Year campaign with a dominant victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic. This year, the World Championships return to the Seaside Oval, and the biggest names in the sport have assembled at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Who will rise to the occasion and emerge as this year's definitive star? TVG brings you all the action as the competitors and their connections make their final preparations for the biggest weekend of the year. Welcome to Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
A reminder this morning at Del Mar that life is good. Very, very good. Life is good out on the track, preparing for the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And if there is a theme to today, I don't care how you get here, just get here if you can. A lot of arrivals, especially with some foreign entrants into this year's Breeders' Cup. We'll have all of it for you here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. Welcome to the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. I'm Todd Schrupp, and we are just days away from 2 championship days of racing this Friday, November 5th and Saturday, November 6th, as the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club here in Del Mar, California, hosts the Breeders' Cup for the second time in its history. When they come out onto the track on a regular race day at Del Mar, they play Bing Crosby's theme. Bing Crosby, legendary entertainer, founded the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, and he wrote a song about it. And one of the lines that everybody is familiar with, take a plane, take a train, take a car. There are many modes of transportation to big events around the world in thoroughbred racing, but the main one is air travel. Joining me on our set right now is Simon Bray. And Simon, air travel and just the world we live in right now has been an issue coming into this Breeders' Cup. Dora Delgado of the Breeders' Cup has really been working with that and working with the horsemen and women around the world, and they pulled it off, but in some unique ways.
Yeah, they certainly did. And it's not so much because of the pandemic, it's because of the company that really ships all the horses domestically around the United States, Tech Sutton. They've had some issue leasing an aeroplane, and many trainers relied on that form of transport. It's very easy. Goes into local airports, picks up the horses, and comes to the racetracks. This was yesterday. The Breeders' Cup, in association with FedEx, have paid for all the runners from the East Coast to be shipped on a FedEx pallet. Right there, that's Raging Bull for trainer Chad Brown. You might look at that and think that's a pallet full of packages. No, there's a racehorse in there that's going to be performing in the Breeders' Cup. They come off the plane, they walk up the ramp, and it's amazing. They have all the vans lined up side by side. As you see this shot here, well, the horses walk all the way through the van and get loaded on there. 28 horses transported from San Diego International Airport, about 40 minutes south of here, on those 2 vans to come up here from the East Coast. So the mode of transport has been very different, but really got to thank the Breeders' Cup in figuring that out along with FedEx. And I just want to thank Kent Barnes as well for that exclusive footage. He's the former stallion manager at Shedwell Farms, now works up at UC Davis, helping with the transportation this week. He was able to get that footage for us, but very, very unique. There are other ways to come here, of course, from Europe. Godolphin have their own charter that flew directly from Stansted Airport. That's a local airport about 40 minutes just south of Newmarket. So it's been a challenge, but thanks to the Breeders' Cup, they've pulled it off.
And how about the fact that we have as high of an interest from foreign-based horses as ever before, with 56 pre-entered this year. Let's get right into the morning preparations. Snapper Sinclair out here this morning on the main track at Del Mar, preparing for the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse that we've seen a lot of. He's raced 34 times, and we touched on him earlier in the week, coming back to the dirt, the main track. Look, he could have been, entered in the Breeders' Cup Mile on the turf, but I think this is probably, out of the 2 spots, this is the better one for him. He is just 2 for 17 on a wet track, though, but he's a solid horse. He's going to be a big price. And just working half a mile here. You're going to see a couple of Steve Asmussen horses work here this morning. They're going to work a half, and the instructions were to go a half in 50. And that's basic Asmussen, an easy kind of blowout right on top of the race.
Yeah, this one, Snapper Sinclair coming in just about at that half in 50, 49 and 4 for the 4 furlongs. Snapper Sinclair, a son of City Zip out of the Yes It's True mare, True Addiction, bred in the Commonwealth of Kentucky by K&G Stables, been a longtime campaigner for Bloom Racing Stables. Snapper Sinclair at the age of 6, going to be a price in the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and out on the main track here at Del Mar. as Snapper Sinclair finishes up going into the first turn there. We bring it back to our set, and we have, speaking of shipping in, Michelle Yu is all the way down here. She has been doing a wonderful job for us up at Santa Anita. And Michelle Yu, part of our broadcast team down here on site at Del Mar. Joaquin Jaime has been here all week with us, and as well as Christina Blacker. So we start with our reporters and Joaquin Jaime.
Hey, Todd and Simon, good morning to you guys. Well, it is Monday, so it officially is Breeders' Cup week here at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. And for me, there's two instances during these shows of Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup where you can really feel that Breeders' Cup excitement start to pick up. And one is just what we've seen over the last few days. All these main contenders having their final workouts from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even in today and Monday, from California to Kentucky and over on the East Coast and New York as well. And number two is just when you start to see these big barns ship into the host track, like right here at Del Mar. Chad Brown is here. Chad Brown is stabled right in front of me. And over my left shoulder here, you can see the webbing of Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher, and that is his filly, Malathot, who is a 3-time Grade 1 winner and a winner of the Kentucky Oaks. And she's going to be one of the 3-year-old fillies that is taking on Latruska in this year's Breeders' Cup Distaff. So, Michelle Yu, things are really starting to pick up here on the backstretch at Del Mar with all these horses coming in from out of town.
Not only on the backside, Joaquin, over here on the front side as well. I must have some beginner's luck because right when I walked out this morning, I spotted Christophe L'Oreal, who's the assistant to Christophe Clement. He was waiting for his charge Gufo as he had just taken his first spin around the Del Mar main track. And since Todd was talking earlier about the shipping arrangements that have been going on, that was what Christophe wanted to talk about, was how good of a job that FedEx did shipping the horses. He said everybody got there in great order. All the tack trunks arrived and everything. You don't want to miss any luggage when you're making the trip across the country for the Breeders' Cup. After he left the track, by the way, Gufo did come out here to the paddock where I'm standing right now for a schooling session. And since we've been standing here, we've also seen horologist for Bill Mott come and take a couple of turns as well. This is probably going to be a very busy spot during training because there's going to be limited afternoon access to the Del Mar paddock when there's not racing going on. As you can see, the paddock area here is a little bit different than other tracks because where you go to saddle is an enclosed area where you have to walk under this arch. Some horses do not believe that's just ivy. They're sure that it's going to eat them in some way. So any opportunity they can get to come school and become familiar with their surroundings out here is going to be all the better for them on Breeders' Cup Day. So happy to be down here, guys, at Del Mar. I had to follow in the footsteps of Christina Blacker, who's standing by.
Michelle, glad to be here once again as we both made the journey down here to Del Mar. So I'm such a fan of many of the horses that you just named, Gufo, Snapper Sinclair, and because of that, I wanted to get a little closer to the action today. Thanks to our friends at Jockey Cam, Nathan Horrocks is here. I am going to be outfitted with one of the Jockey Cams that you've been seeing all summer here from Del Mar. Flavian Pratt was kind enough to wear the Jockey Cam, as was Umberto Rispoli. I'm going to jump on the pony, and we are going to get closer than ever to these Breeders' Cup runners. Of course, all the horses that shipped in, the international horses that will hit the track for the first time today. Todd, we want to take you as close to the competitors and to the action as possible on the show here.
Christina, it's been a little while since you attended horse camp, but I know those skills are still there, so we look forward to that. Thank you very much for doing
like riding
that
a bike.
for us. Yeah. So unique perspectives coming up on the show, and as Christina mentioned, and we echo the sentiment, we're fans as well. We can't wait to see some of these foreign entrants that we've been watching over the course of the year. Now get to see them up close and personal. And out on the track, we have a number of horses still here at Del Mar, and we will bring you some early workouts as well. But right now on the track is United. Could this be the year that he breaks through in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf? He has been such a model of consistency. Up and down year, I guess, a little bit this year. But does he have a race in him that is good enough to beat the world's best at a mile and a half?
Absolutely, he has a race in him. There's no question about it. He was second behind Bricks and Mortar in this race back in 2019. And, I mean, he's a beautiful horse. If you're out here on the West Coast, everybody knows him. He's a typical, middle-distance turf horse. Got that big, long, lumbering stride here, and he travels well, covers a lot of ground. He's actually got a set of draw reins on him. You can't see him right now, but we haven't seen any this week, and that enables the rider to get a little more leverage and keep the horse's head down. I'll explain a little more when we get a better view of it. He's just standing out now. He's probably warmed up. just standing out, waiting for a little spot to jump in and start his gallop. But he's a bit of a fan favorite out here because he's always consistent. He runs very, very good races each and every time, and I think he does. I mean, if you go back to that Breeders' Cup in 2019, Todd, he certainly has a race to go to. And one thing, he loves this Del Mar turf course. Some of his better efforts have been here with 3 wins from 6 starts.
That Breeders' Cup turf you're talking about 2 years ago at Santa Anita, he came within ahead of beating America's eventual Horse of the Year, Bricks and Mortar. Last year at Keeneland, it just was not his race, as he uncharacteristically only beat 2 horses home in the field of 10. Overall, what do you think of the depth of this year's Longines Breeders' Cup turf?
I think it's pretty deep. I mean, you got Tanawa coming back. She'll be out a little later on this morning. You got a great Japanese filly mare, I should say, in Love's Only You. It's a strong contentious group, I think. Here he is. Look, big, pretty horse. See how he bows his head? And he bows his head because of the presence of the draw reins. The draw reins are what you see there. Normally, you just have the rein going from the bridle, the piece of equipment on the horse's head, into the rider's hands, the reins. The reins go from the rider's hands through the ring on the bridle, through the ring bit, and then attached to the girth. And what this does, it prevents the horse from lifting their head, so the rider can't lose control. If you've got a particularly headstrong horse, draw reins are very, very effective in keeping the horse's head down and letting the rider maintain more leverage. It also increases muscle development in the rear end because it's making the horse use their rear end a lot more. Instead of pulling, they're pushing. And it really develops the hind end. You get a much more rounded appearance. And you can see here, can you imagine if this horse here had a regular bit on and regular reins? It would be a much more difficult task for the rider to maintain control.
Well, as you can see out here on the track, United loves what he does, both in the mornings and the afternoon. And trainer Dick Mandela, aside from the equipment that you're talking about here and the purposes of it, he has workouts that we haven't really seen on this show at distances. For example, back on October 26th, United worked a mile.
Yeah, and that's typical of Richard Mandela. You don't see that very often, but he'll work horses a mile, 7/8 of a mile, slow and steady, but especially a horse like this, he's responded to it. And when you see this horse run this weekend, he'll run like this with his head down. I mean, he's done it for so long with these draw reins on. That's the gait that he uses during the races. He'll run with his head down and really reach out. I mean, look at him here. He's always a pretty horse, always traveling well. Big turf action, high knee action. He's hitting his chin with his knees there and covers a lot of ground.
United, a son of the late Giants Causeway, one of the most influential stallions in modern racing history. United preparing for the Longines Breeders' Cup turf this Saturday here at Del Mar. A lot of news coming out of yesterday as it pertains to the Breeders' Cup, and to catch us up on all of it, Joaquin Jaime.
And yeah, Todd, our news of the day is going to take us to the 2-year-olds in the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile Division, and it was trainer Ken McPeak that announced yesterday on Twitter that his 2-year-old who won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity Rattle and Roll is not going to be running in the Breeders' Cup this year. He had a workout at Churchill Downs. He went 5 furlongs and 101 and 2 over a wet surface, but unfortunately out of that work, he said on Twitter that Rattle and Roll came out of his workout with a left hind foot abscess. And that is the reason that Rattle and Roll is not going to be entered in Future Stars Friday in the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So unfortunate timing for these connections of trainer Ken McPeak and the owners of Lucky 7 Stable. Unfortunately, unlucky here in this situation. The good news, Christina, is that it looks like he's going to be okay. Just bad timing for Rattle and Roll, who's going to miss this year's TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Christina, what do we have to look forward to on the international front today?
Joaquin, the international report is going to be quite busy today because this is our first chance to take a look at some of the international runners as they will be on track today. So on the 29th of October, the first flight from Europe came in, touchdown in San Diego, and that plane brought all of the English, Irish, and German horses. They have now served their quarantine time here at Del Mar and will be hitting the racetrack a little bit later on. We are expecting to see 3 of our defending champions in some of these Breeders' Cup races hit the track for the first time today. Tarnawa scheduled to go at 8 o'clock. Not long from now, we will see Adaria at 8:30, shortly thereafter, and then Glass Slippers later on in the morning, perhaps 9:30ish. It will be a bit of a process for them as they do have to go up and jog for the veterinarians. The Breeders' Cup vet team will be checking all those horses in the chute. I'll jump on the pony and head up there to see if we can get a first glimpse of them stepping onto the racetrack. And then you can probably just expect some light training as they will get sort of a feel for the track, a look around. Bear in mind, this is a much different way of training here in the States than it is in Europe, than the yards that they're used to. Maybe the uphill gallops, the open fields, not so many horses on the racetrack at one time and going different directions. This can be a little bit startling for them at first, so they do need to kind of take it easy on that first day. So first set of international horses on track today. Todd and Simon, we did have the second planes from Godolphin and Ballydoyle touchdown on the 30th, so tomorrow will be the first day that we get to see them on track.
Oh, so much to look forward to as these arrivals happen. Even the arrivals of horses who are not that far away from here. Up at Santa Anita yesterday, it was Private Mission preparing for the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Private Mission for trainer Bob Baffert comes in on a 3-race win streak and just kind of keeps climbing up the class ladder. Optional 40,000 claiming win, then the Grade 3 Torrey Pines here at Del Mar, and then last time out a win and you're in to the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, the Grade 2 Zenyatta.
Shocker. Another offspring of Into Mischief, proving to be, very, very talented indeed. And the difference with this filly in the last couple of starts, I think, has been the added distance, the real estate. She's loved going 2 turns. And she's only had 1 defeat, and that was back in November of last year. She went to the sideline, something clearly a miss, but she has really improved. I mean, we don't know what we got here because the sky's the limit, right? I mean, she's only had a couple of starts around 2 turns. She's beat a competition very, very easily. There's still improvement there. Nothing more threatening than an improving 3-year-old late in the year.
Looking at Private Mission yesterday at Santa Anita, and she likes to sit just off the pace, which might be important. The horse to beat in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, Latruska, likes to set the pace the whole way. And if Latruska comes back in any way to this field, the horse who gets the proverbial first jump could have the advantage. Private Mission will be sitting in a good spot for sure. Whether or not she is good enough, that's what we're going to find out on Saturday.
She's a big filly. I mean, you can see it. That's her on the... Yeah, that's her on the inside. Sorry, she's a little small in a stablemate, but she covers a lot of ground there. I mean, she's a nice filly and definitely, I think, an improving threat. She'll be a price, too, this weekend, I think.
The 1 1/8, the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, one of 9 championship races this Saturday at Del Mar. It will all start on Friday with Future Stars Friday, 6 championship races there. Big day today. What's amazing to me as we watch all the technical aspects of these mornings and the preparations leading up, all these plans that these trainers have, everything going hopefully according to plan. Then it comes down to the luck of the draw. Later today, we've got the post-position draw, and it's pure luck. I mean, you could be up against it through no fault of your own.
That's exactly right. There's a few races on Friday and Saturday, I think, where the draw will make a difference. Tactically in the filly and mare sprint, I think, small field, but you're absolutely right. I think particularly in the turf sprint, draw is going to be key, but you're right. I mean, people have been planning for a year. You know, we've looked at the logistics to get here, whether it's, you know, traveling the people, traveling the horses halfway around the world. And they could all go out the window if you're drawing 14 of 14 in the sprint, turf sprint.
You're going to want to watch this with us. There is drama in a post-position draw, despite what people will tell you, especially for the connections who have their hopes of where they want to be in their particular race. So all 15 of those Breeders' Cup races you're going to see today, the post-positions drawn 2:30 local time. That's 2:30 p.m. Pacific time today. TVG has you covered, and we look forward to hosting the event. Brittany Erden of TVG and NBC and Nick Luck of NBC. That's later today, the post-position draw for the 38th running of the Breeders' Cup. We'll be back with more of Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup on TVG right after this.
Longines.
something about when you get up early, prep the plane, and you take off, and you get that first light of day, and the air is crystal smooth. You can see forever. You have to have the right aircraft for the right flight with the right crew up front. Only NetJets can do this. The flight dissolves into the background. It should just be the here and now.
Off in the long team Breeders' Cup turf. Tarnawa's closing on the outside. Not today for Mogul. Here comes Tarnawa, storming down the center of the course to take the lead. And Tarnawa, the filly, has won the turf.
The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint for horse players and those who love the game as we do is fastly becoming one of the most anticipated races of the 15 championship races in the 2 days at the Breeders' Cup, because everyone truly has a chance. There's some unlucky stories in there as well. Last time we were here, we had a 30-1 shot win the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, everyone's got a shot. You can't dismiss anyone. And to underscore it, I mentioned earlier in the week, from a betting standpoint, we think top-class horses are going to be favorites all the time. No, average win payoff, 9-1 in the Breeders' Cup in the history of the event. Back here in 2017, it was a 14-1 average payoff. Only 2 favorites won out of the 14 races.
The Jimmy Durante Turf Course is behind us here at Del Mar, and the distance for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, it seems whatever venue we go to, it's unique. 5.5 furlongs at Keeneland, but it's going to be 5 furlongs here at Del Mar.
Very, very different. We talk about turf sprints. You know, it's become more in vogue, I think, turf racing in the last 5-6 years in North America. And there's various sprint distances around the country, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. They're very different, even though they differ by only about a furlong and a half. So 5 furlong is literally a cavalry charge. There's going to be 12 horses loaded in the starting gate, not 14, but I think post position is going to be key for that race. And look, you can come from off the pace here at Del Mar. We saw it in the summer sprinting, but we don't see 12-horse sprint fields very often here. So navigating traffic, short stretch run, they're going to be motoring right behind us, top of the stretch here, and you've got to have a clean path. Need a lot of luck in the sprint.
A lot of people are looking at the statistical results from, say, the summer meet or even the Bing Crosby meet here at Del Mar and trying to draw conclusions. One thing we saw over the summer in the 5 furlong sprints on the turf, post positions 1 and 2 had a huge advantage. I look at it as it's going to be different because, like you said, it's a field of 12 that are going to be in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. That's not something we saw very often during the summer here at Del Mar. So do you look at the trends from the summer and apply them to the Breeders' Cup?
Well, I think the way the turf course plays, I don't think you can equate one with the other because the conditions are different in the summer. I know, we don't get rain out here in Southern California, but it's damp, it's cool, it's overcast. They won't have had races running over them each and every day. By the end of the meet, the turf course speeds up here. The post position statistic is key for me. I focused in that all summer long. Post positions 1 and 2 in the early part of the meet provided 42% of the winners in 5 furlong turf. Yeah, it's crazy. And literally during the summer meet, if you were drawn post 4 or higher, the chances of you winning a race statistically weren't that high. So I still think post position has a big play.
The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, one of 9 championship races this Saturday at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. We'll be back with more on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup in just a moment.
With the TVG app, get expert analysis and free handicapping advice from here. Place a bet in just a few simple taps from here. And even stream races live from here. Access, analysis, and action from anywhere. Download today and get a $300 risk-free bet on the Breeders' Cup. TVG. Onto the app. Off to the races.
Consistently versatile with 22 Grade 1 winners on every surface from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles all over the world.
Spectacular return for Charlatan in the Run Happy Malibu Stakes.
But it's Nashville under no stress whatsoever, winning it.
Lexingtonian comes back on the inside to win it.
All purpose, all places, all power. Bightstown. You know this type of place. You might even work in one. Hot, sweaty, uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be that way. Big-ass fans keep you cool, comfortable, and productive in any type of space. So no matter where you are, think big. Get cool.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery was a multiple graded stakes winner at 2, including this victory in the Los Alamitos Cash Call Futurity. At 3, he sizzled in the San Felipe Stakes. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales ring, and his first runners are hitting the track. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It was back in 2013 at Pimlico when the Thoroughbred Makeover first took place. Only 26 participants that year, but man, have we seen it grow. In fact, in the 2021 period, over 1,000 horses were in training for the makeover. 400 of them ended up checking in, showcasing the retired racehorse and how good they can be, not just on the racetrack, but afterwards. The age of horses ranged everywhere from 3 to 14, and 46 states and 4 provinces had trainers represented to show off the versatility, the athleticism, the brains, the beauty, and the brawn of the thoroughbred. Very excited to get to see horses in action there, like California favorite Ashley Love Sugar, as well as Imperative, who we also saw compete out here on the West Coast. And this guy right here next to me, Lava Man. He competed on the West Coast, a former $50,000 claimer. He ended up banking over $5 million in earnings. He had his swing at the Breeders' Cup as well. It's been really cool this week, not only to get to see the horses that are currently training for the Breeders' Cup, but also some of the horses that used to. I got to see Eddie Haskell, who is in the barn of Mark Glatt, working as a pony horse, Liam the Charmer, working for his campaigner, Mike McCarthy, and then the coach, Lava Man. I know he's been a very popular horse on this show, but it's nice to get some up close and personal time. I'm not a cookie. Everybody wants to eat me, guys. I don't know what's going on, but lots of attention here to our retired racehorses, and they deserve it.
Hanging with royalty there. I remember when Lava Man was here for the TVG Pacific Classic, as big of a crowd as I've seen around the paddock. He was indeed very popular here. He eventually went to Churchill Downs for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Didn't work out for him there, but one of those true rarities, a Grade 1 winner on the turf and the dirt.
Yes, exactly, and the synthetic surface, right? He was a winner on all 3 surfaces, and he was a true blue-collar horse, rags to riches story. He was a horse that was claimed for $50,000 and went on to be one of the best of his that couple of years that he ran. So yeah, true rags to riches story. Glad to see him still around. One
area we haven't really gotten up close to so far here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup is what goes on at the gate in the mornings, and we have a look at Proud Emma, who is preparing for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at the gate. Let me ask you this first, Simon. What are they trying to accomplish in the mornings here at the gate?
Okay, Proud Emma, first of all, she's making her 21st start this weekend. That's her in the right, I believe. She's still in the starting gate. That was a non-Breeders' Cup horse coming out. So basically what they're doing is just trying to, not teach her how to break from the gate. She knows how to do that, but just get her comfortable with her surroundings. Basically, I don't think you could do enough gate schooling, really. I mean, horses, that's one place in the gate where horses, it takes a long time to get them to get used to the gate and break from the gate. And, it's a very confined environment. Horses get very claustrophobic, so you can't do enough gate schooling. So all Peter Miller is doing here is dotting I's, crossing T's, checking the boxes. That filly, she stood in there. It's just getting them used to it. We heard trainer Dan Black yesterday. He takes all his horses once a week to the starting gate. I think that's a very good idea. They get used to it and feel comfortable in there. You want to get horses to feel comfortable in their environment.
Out at the gate this morning. Will we see the same thing from the European horses that come in?
I think you might, yeah, the European horses. And it's a big deal for the European horses because, we always talk about how the European horses break a step slow. Obviously, with dirt racing, you've got to come out of the gate fast. And to be able to run here in the United States, you have to pass a gate test in the morning. take horses to the starting gate. They'll break out of the starting gate, and the starter will give them what's called an OK card. And they have to break fast. In Europe, they have to go through the same process, but the pace of the race is much slower. They don't break as fast. Here in the United States, U.S. horses outbreak the Europeans by 2 or 3 lengths. Another thing, the bell in the starting gate. This was one of my own theories, that horses break slow a time or two when they come here. They're not used to hearing the bell. When the gates open, the bell rings. Sometimes the gates open, the European horses hear that bell, they startle for a second. Just takes them a race or two to get used to it.
All this knowledge that you're gaining here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, you can turn into money by being a TVG account holder. If you have never signed up for a TVG account, we want to change that. The Breeders' Cup brings the best from around the world for 2 championship days of racing, and the Breeders' Cup also partners with the best in the business. TVG is the leader in advanced deposit wagering and the official wagering partner of the Breeders' Cup. We're so sure you're going to love being a TVG account holder. Look at this offer, a risk-free bet up to $300 on your first single horse win wager. You can get the details at tvg.com/best bet, or you can scan that QR code right there. It'll take you right to it. Bet the Breeders' Cup with the official wagering partner of the Breeders' Cup, TVG. More Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup right after this.
When a new wave calls, you answer. When adventure calls, you answer. When the surf calls, you paddle out. When sunsets call, you find the best view. When the sand in your toes calls, you put more sand between them. When the ocean calls, you wave hello. Because when happiness calls, you answer. San Diego Happiness is calling you back.
PNC Bank believes that if a pair of goggles can help your backhand get better, then your bank should help you budget even better. Virtual Wallet is so much more than a checking account. Its low cash mode feature gives you at least 24 hours of extra time to help you avoid an overdraft fee.
You see that?
Virtual Wallet with low cash mode from PNC Bank. One way we're making a difference.
At Calumet Farm, we're proud to offer proven stallions to fit every breeder's needs. With over 72 million in progeny winnings on dirt and turf, our diverse roster is producing the champions of today and tomorrow. Calumet Farm, a legacy reborn.
Longines.
The Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, site of the 2021 World Championships in Thoroughbred Racing, the Breeders' Cup. And that scene right there is literally just about a football field away, about 100 yards away from the outer edge of the property here at Del Mar. It's why they say where the turf meets the surf. And another offer for you to be playing the Breeders' Cup with TVG. How about this? Fee-free deposits. Deposit without fees Monday through Thursday. Remember, the 2 big days are Friday and Saturday here at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. And TVG has got you covered as a TVG account holder. Deposit without fees this Monday through Thursday. George Rusty Arnold here in American racing. He is well known, but he'll get a chance to be on the international stage and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint with Gear Jockey, who comes in off a dominating win at Kentucky Downs. What is very typical of the mornings at the racetrack? The cup of coffee and sharing it with friends and colleagues. And we had Scott Hazelton share a cup of coffee most recently with George Rusty Arnold.
Well, great to catch up with a man that I've admired for some years, and he's always been so kind to spend time with me. It's Rusty Arnold. Rusty, let's take it back to the beginning. What year did you start training? How did you get into this?
Well, my grandfather worked at Elmendorf Farm when I was a kid, and then my father got his own farm, and I started working in on the farm at a very early age, and he made a mistake and let me get to the racetrack one morning when I was probably around 14 or 15, and I fell in love with the track, and I got off the farm, went to the racetrack.
Where's the nickname Rusty come from? It's George Arnold in the program, but
yeah, the middle initial is Russell, and my mother didn't want to call me Junior because my father was a George, and she just nicknamed me Rusty, and it stuck from a kid on. A lot of people I met in my later part of my life all call me George.
What was your first big break?
Glencrest Farm gave me my first big break. They sent me a horse by the name of Wavering Monarch. He was a yearling that didn't sell well. They sent him to me, and he ended up winning the Haskell and kind of got me going. And a doctor out of Cincinnati named Taylor Asbury sent me horses when I was getting started. But it was very easy to get started when I was a kid. You know, you didn't have the 3 and 4 horse or 300 horse outfits. You know, people would get 40. That was enough. And then people would call them, you want a horse? No, but I know this young kid that's starting out, send them to them, and those days are over.
How have you had to change your approach, or have you changed your approach at all from those early days to now where we're at?
I have a little bit. I think, you know, I do run in 2 divisions. Jack Bohannon's been with me for about 30 years, and, you know, he's at Churchill and I'm here, and it lets us have a little more flexibility in where we can go with horses. So we've probably changed a little bit, but it still comes down to basic horsemanship, you know.
Back in 1996, you had your first Breeders' Cup starters, in fact, 2 in the distaff, correct?
Correct.
What was it like going into your first Breeders' Cup back in the mid-90s?
Well, it's exciting then and it's exciting now. I mean, if you're in this business, getting a horse in either the Triple Crown or the Breeders' Cup are the 2 goals that I think anybody would have. And we had 2 good fillies that both were, you know, Clear Mandate won over $1 million, and I think Top Secret was right at it, $990. But when you looked at who they were running against, they were long shots, and one of them ran well, one of them didn't. But it was my foot into the Breeders' Cup, and it was exciting as this year is.
Is there one Breeders' Cup race that you sent a horse out that you think maybe got away from you if something was different? Is there one race that of the Breeders' Cup starters you had that you wish you could do again?
Well, last year I thought we could win the sprint with Leinster. I don't think there's any – he was the favorite. I don't think there's any doubt he was the best horse. And within the last month and a half of the race, he started having foot issues. We had a quarter crack on him. We were working on it, and we got him as good as we could, and he got beat a half a length. And I think had he been 100% sound on a given day, none of the sprinters could have beat him last year. So that was a tough one.
And that was always a reoccurring theme with him, right? His feet, like keeping him good?
They just couldn't keep him good in the end, and he was such a good horse. And had he been where he was when he won the Troy the year before, he was probably as good a sprinter as there was in that group.
Well, you've got a shot at redemption with Calumet and Gear Jockey this year, and he's a horse that ran so big in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf when he was a 2-year-old, and then there was that string of races where what was going on, like what that middle portion of early days to now where he's at, what was happening in those races?
Well, we probably made some mistakes with him when you look back. We got him to that race as a 2-year-old as a maiden. I think he got beat less than a length. He ran a big race. We wanted to try him on the dirt. You know, you just didn't know. He'd had one dirt try, and our objective was, hey, maybe we've got a really good horse on the dirt. We tried him, and he came up with a conjurer. And he didn't like the dirt. He came with a conjurer, so we missed his entire 3-year-old year. We brought him back at the end of it, and he got 1 start, I think, in the fall. We ran him long. He looked like he was going to win. He got tired. He was 3rd. We went to Florida. Got his maiden broke as a 4-year-old, and again long, and ran him in. I think it was Canadian, but it was a grade 3. Got beat a half a length. Looked like he had a chance to win. Brought him to Keeneland, 1A other than, and then just hung again. And we decided to start sprinting him, and it gave him a new world. It just, you know, it's trial and error because everybody, they can't talk to you, but I think it was just a mistake. He did not want to go 2 turns, and it took me a little longer to figure that out than it should have.
Going from Kentucky Downs, sprinting there, to Del Mar, 2 different worlds, really. I mean, obviously, the courses, the distance. How do you think he'll handle that West Coast turf course?
I think he's going to handle the turf course fine. I think he'll love a hard, firm turf course. I think he wants a little more ground than the 5/8. I think that's the shortest they run it. I mean, I'd love for it to be 5.5 or 3/4. It's not. But we've got this horse really good right now. It's the opposite of last year when I was fighting problems. He's had every work on the day he was supposed to have them. They've been clockwork, and he is ready to go, and we've got him sharp.
You ready to head out to Del Mar, look for some redemption?
We're ready. We're excited. My wife and I. We're gonna. It's like a one-horse vacation. It'll be work, but we're going to really enjoy the trip. There's not a lot of pressure on this one, and we think we're taking a really good horse out there.
Rusty, always appreciate the time, my friend. We'll see you in California. Gear jockey in the turf sprint for Calumet, and this man, Rusty Arnold. Watch out.
Yeah, Gear Jockey's going to be on my tickets, that's for sure. He was dominant.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very, very impressive win last time out.
Also bringing horses out to the Breeders' Cup, a lot of them, is trainer Chad Brown, and he's here as well on site at Del Mar and with Christina Blacker.
I'm by trainer Chad Brown, as all his horses from New York have shipped in. How was the journey for you and for the team?
Went pretty well. So we got over here. We know the drill pretty good. A little different shipping the horses this year, but FedEx really did a good job. Our horses seem to came in shape so far. We have 3 more coming from Kentucky today, so hopefully everyone gets here good.
What's your plan for today? What are you looking to see from the horses that will hit the track?
You know, our horses walked a couple days in a row because we had to work the horses in New York on Friday because of weather that was coming in, so they're a little fresh out there, but they're getting over the track really good. So I'm just looking to, you know, make sure they're moving well, which they seem to be. Back down a little bit. They've been pent up a little bit, wanting to do something, and so far so good.
We could be here all morning, but I'll just ask you about a few of them. Let's start with domestic spending in the turf. Big last out, but short. Was that frustrating for you? Because he seems like he has immense talent.
Yeah, he does. He just got caught in a really slow-paced race. In hindsight, I probably should have put a pacemaker or something in there. I don't use him a lot, but with a short field, with wanting to run against him, I should have saw it coming, and I just missed that one. So it should be a good pace in this turf with a full field, I would think. And you know, as long as he draws okay and gets away from there, gets some sort of position. You know, Flavien knows him well, and obviously knows the course well. They get along super. So just looking for a clean trip with him.
Speaking of Flavien Prat, you guys have formed a real alliance. Talk to me about his abilities and just how much faith you have in him as a rider.
Yeah, I mean, I think any trainer would have a lot of confidence in him. He seems to be really at the top of his game, and he's just a pleasure to work with. He communicates well. He makes a lot of great decisions in a split second, which you have to do as a top jockey. Our horses, it fits him particularly well. Appreciates a horse that has a good turn of foot, and you know, we've had tremendous success at plus when we're able to get him.
About the mile, how important will post position be later on today for both Raging Bull and Blowout?
Yeah, very important. I really don't want to be out wide with either of those horses if I can help it. And with Raging Bull in particular, I think the key with him is just getting out of the gate and getting some sort of position. He'll fall behind sometimes in his race, and then you pretty much have no chance at that point. Since Irad's been getting on this horse, he's gotten in position with this horse, and he's looking for firm turf. He's 1-for-1 at Del Mar. I think he's going to bring a good race on Saturday.
You have some nice fillies as well in the juvenile fillies turf. I know Hottie was at Keeneland for her work, but did you get to see that? Because our team was really happy with what she's been doing in the morning.
Yeah, I've been relying on your team more because I have not been to Keeneland since I sent her over there. My assistant Jose Hernandez has really done a great job with her. It's a horse we've thought a lot of. What a you know, roller coaster of development for her. Running in New York, getting disqualified, not getting in the Jessamine, then getting in a maiden race winning. And fortunately, the Breeders' Cup Committee, you know, put her just off the AEs and gave her a chance to draw in, and she did. So we're so fortunate. I mean, even though she's only a maiden winner, she does have 2 career wins, so she's got some experience.
Last question, the juvenile on dirt, Jack Christopher. Is this one of the most talented 2-year-olds you've ever had?
Certainly. Yeah, this horse from day one, he's just shown amazing ability, very exciting horse, and I'm so proud of him. He's done everything right, every work, every week. You know, to here, a lot of times you get these fast 2-year-olds, especially on the dirt, and so along the line, they're so talented and they're coming to hand so soon, you know, they're going to have a setback normally, and with some of them. And this guy kept going through all his tests and passing them with flying colors. I'm really excited about this horse.
Thanks for your time. Good luck all week.
Anytime. Thanks.
Chad Brown has always had success here at the Del Mar Fall Meet. Multiple Grade 1 wins here, looking to add to the tally with some Breeders' Cup victories this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he's not coming here with a bunch of 20-to-1 shots.
No.
It's amazing what he brings
he
in.
doesn't ship horses just for to come here. He ships with a purpose. The tea guy I saw. Got the old tea. I thought he was a coffee guy, but he's into
English breakfast tea. Is that what you're looking at? Or
no,
Earl Grey? What are you doing over there?
No, I'm doing a little coffee right here.
All right. So we'll enjoy our beverages on the set, working hard out in the field, walking with a horse out to the racetrack who will be in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic is Joaquin Jaime. Joaquin, who you with?
Yeah, Todd, this is going to be one of the final workers here for the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is Max Player right in front of me for Steve Asmussen. Steve Asmussen looking for his third Breeders' Cup Classic victory. And I asked assistant Scott Blasey just a second ago, what did he think the difference was for this horse in his last two victories? He won the Suburban 2 starts back and most recently won the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. And he thinks that the difference has been when this horse has just had a chance to get in early and settle into his surroundings. He took the long trip to Saudi Arabia a few starts back. He said in the Pimlico Special he shipped in right before the race, and that didn't do him any good. But the difference 2 starts back at Belmont and Saratoga is they did arrive there early. They settled in. He was able to get acclimated, and it resulted in back-to-back victories. And he defeated Mystic Guide 2 starts back. So if Max Player can repeat his efforts that he's won in the Suburban and the Jockey Club Gold Cup, I really think you need to give this horse a look in the Breeders' Cup Classic this year. And this is what they've implemented for the Breeders' Cup Classic as well, Todd. As we know, all these Steve Asmussens got to California early. So if the difference has been getting him acclimated at Belmont and Saratoga, it certainly paid off, and maybe it'll pay off once again here for the Breeders' Cup Classic since he got a chance to get to know his surroundings here at Del Mar and just California in general.
Son of Honor Code out of the Not For Love mare Fools in Love. Bred by K&G Stables in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Simon, he went to the Saudi Cup to start his year, and it seems like when he got back, he needed some time to recover from that trip, but he has really figured out his form with his last 2 wins.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it without knowing that information about getting, in early to the racetrack that he's running at, I would say getting in the race early. Look at him. He's been more forwardly placed in his last 2 races. I think that's been the difference. And I would say with those races being in a mile and a quarter, he stretched out to the mile and a quarter distance. The tempo of the race, the internal fractions are usually a little slower than a mile and 1/8. Mile and a quarter, and it gives a horse, I think, the ability to get into the body of the race and find a stride. And I think that's been the difference with him. Instead of being 6, 8, 9 lengths back, the last 2 races, he's been a half length off the leaders, and that's been reflected in his performance and his speed figures as well.
And he has also proven himself in back-to-back races at a mile and a quarter, including that dominant win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Saratoga last time out. Max Player out on the track. Let's check in once again with Michelle Yu.
Thanks, Todd. Just wandering the backside right now, and a flashy chestnut caught my eye. It just so happened to be Stiletto Boy. I'm back here at the Mojo Barn. You told me he's going to have a nice big move today.
Just going to gallop a mile and a half. We're going to go back to the wire, turn around and gallop maybe just a little over a mile and a half.
Watching his last work, he looked really good in that effort. Do you feel like he's coming into this race in peak form?
I think he's the best he's been since we got him. So I think he is better, and he's training really, really good. Everything's great.
You guys picked him out of a Horses of Racing age sale. What intrigued you about Stiletto Boy?
I had nothing to do with that. My brother did it.
And just said, hey, I found you a great horse?
Yeah, he did. I was hoping when we got him here, I was hoping we'd find a place where he could run. I didn't think we'd end up in the Classic.
That's a pretty amazing journey to get to go to.
Pretty good.
And tell me a little bit about how he's settled in since you guys shipped up to Del Mar.
He's been really, he's a really, really classy horse, and nothing ever bothers him. You can see he just does his job every single morning, cleans up every night, never has a bad day. So he's been a great horse.
Sounds like the perfect horse to have in your barn, guys. There's Stiletto Boy getting ready to go gallop a mile and a half. Wants to look pretty for the camera, too.
And I'm pretty sure we haven't seen this before. The Iowa Derby winner in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. That is the last win for Stiletto Boy. He has looked good coming to the West Coast, and he's outrun his odds almost every single time, most notably in his most recent start. Second in the Grade 1 Awesome Again to Medina Spirit. He was second that day at odds of 55-1.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a big price again. He's been beaten by Medina Spirit twice, who he's going to face on Saturday evening. So he's got to make that form reversal about 5 or 6 lengths. But He's a horse that I think could be coming along late, maybe pick up some pieces late, and that's certainly a big check if you even finish third in here.
As we watch Stiletto Boy getting ready to go out to the track, we know Max Player is already here out on the track. The conditions out here this morning, temperature hanging around 64 degrees. A little bit of marine layer here that is expected to burn off around 10 a.m., but absolutely perfect conditions for morning training.
Yeah, so Max Player here, I would imagine, is going to go half a mile. Typical Asmussen half a mile right before a race involves just an easy work going 50 with no motion from the rider, I would imagine. You can see the horse has got 4 bandages on there, and I don't know if you can see it, they've got those plastic patches on the back of the horse's heel. They're called rundown patches, 3M patches. That's just for protection, because when horses run on the dirt, and particularly it's more in wet weather, they go through the racetrack surface and they can burn their heels on the racing surface. It's like an abrasion, and while it looks minor to begin with, it can be an everlasting problem because it takes a while to heal, and you can't train the horse for a while until it heals up, and then they have a tendency to re-burn their heels or re-run down, as we like to say. So a lot of prevention, as I've talked about all week. These bandages are for prevention and protection more than anything. But he's got the blinkers on. Very easy going to the pole to break off here. So this looks like a horse that's very manageable for the exercise rider.
Max Player having to go through the best in his division in the biggest race of the 2 days, the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic on Saturday. And you're watching his last major move here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, and he seems to be going a little bit faster than maybe I thought he would.
Yeah, he just picked it up, but the transition was smooth, right? He went from a gallop, he picked it up. Now the rider's realized. See, he reached down and he clicked his stopwatch, the rider, and he's looking down now at the watch, and he realizes he broke off a little quick there. I think maybe when he reached up and popped his stopwatch, the horse, just took a little more hold of the reins there, so he's just gearing him down, and now we're very, very easy here. So I would imagine he's looking to go in like 49 and change, 50, and it would be in his best interest to do that, because I said yesterday he's got to go back and face the wrath of Steve or Scott.
Max Player looking good here this morning, and a horse on the improve. And as we talked about, you take a horse like this who's a winner of the prestigious Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he's still going to be a big number in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
It's considered one of the premier Grade 1 races in the country, right, for older horses.
And he won it by 4.
Yeah, he's going to be a very big horse. And you see the rider, when he crossed the wire there, he popped the stopwatch. I mean, it won't be ideal, but at least he's getting an indication of how fast he's going. So we'll get the official time. I will say 49 and 1.
Yeah.
I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, I think that's I'm going to go under that.
48 and 4? You
took the number right out of my head. Max Player looking good here, preparing for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Papa Cap for trainer Mark Casse. Out for Future Stars Friday, getting ready for the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile, presented by TAA.
Ran well out here, so he shipped out early for trainer Mark Casse. He's been here at Del Mar. I remember all summer he won the best pal here. But, as he stepped up, he's run well, but he hasn't reeled in Pinehurst, and he didn't reel in Corniche. Now, maybe that's good form, because Corniche is probably going to be the favorite for the juvenile. So, he's got to turn the tables on him. This is him galloping here. Just a routine gallop. Looks like a nice horse, just taking care of some bathroom issues there as he's galloping.
Or as our colleague Dave Weaver likes to call them, souvenirs.
Yeah, leaving a couple of souvenirs on the track.
Yeah, that's Dave.
What is that?
I don't know. He's Dave Weaver.
Yeah.
When you look at connections, and we were talking about this the last time we were here at Del Mar, Gunrunner dominated the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Now he comes back in the form of his progeny, who have big chances up and down the card. Echo Zulu going to be a heavy favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Here's Papa Cap, son of Gunrunner, who was a son of Candy Ride, who was one of the best horses we ever saw in the TVG Pacific Classic here at Del Mar.
Yeah, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Whether the lineage they handle the track. The track's different from when Candy Ride.
I know, but there is something.
Yeah, maybe there is something. But Gunrunner, it got off to a great start. And look at this horse. Very professional. I would imagine, he's a pretty good horse to be around without knowing. We're looking for the lead change right here, right there. You see he goes to his right lead. I touched on this yesterday. It's a little harder to do, and it looks a little more less fluid in the slower paces because the horses don't have their head. The exercise rider has a hold of them, so there's not enough room for them to kind of move that, jump over to that lead. So it's not as fluid as when they're going in their faster paces.
From Future Stars Friday to a star of right now, Hot Rod Charlie, one of your favorites for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. He is out on the track with the coach, Lava Man, along with him. You sometimes have to look away from Lava Man because he looks like he could go right now, but you can clearly see Hot Rod Charlie has been loving it here in the mornings at Del Mar.
Yeah, so let's just back up a couple of days. He worked on Saturday morning, 7 furlongs in 126. Sunday morning, he stayed in the barn and walked, so this is his first day out. So this can be an anxious moment for trainers and connections. First day back out after an off day, walking when they've stayed in the barn. Horses are very fresh, they're excited, they want to get some exercise, so you want to contain that. You don't want anything to go wrong and have them do too much or spook from something. A lot of activity here now. We've got new marquee tents being put up horses haven't seen before. They'll go in after training and the track will look one way. They'll come up the next morning, all of a sudden there's a TV camera here, there's a light there, there's a catering tent here, and it can really make a difference to horses and spook their look at it. So it looks like he's just going to take an easy gallop around with the pony. Yesterday we saw Medina Spirit, first day back to the track, team up with the pony and just jog the wrong way. Hot Rod Charlie just looks like he's galloping a little bit. Going to gallop a little bit here with the pony. That's probably all he would do today, I would imagine, unless they'd like to do something else. But look how tremendous he looks. A lot of power in his hind end there. Well made, good looking son of. Who's he by? He's by Nyquist, right?
Oxbow.
Oxbow, that's right. Yeah, excuse me.
We'll continue to watch Hot Rod Charlie preparing for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. But your Kentucky Oaks winner is arriving out to the racetrack. That's Malathot, with trainer Todd Pletcher watching and right alongside Joaquin Jaime.
Yeah, Todd, you mentioned that she won the Kentucky Oaks this year. It's one of 3 Grade 1 wins that she has on her resume for this 3-year-old daughter of Curlin, and she only has 1 defeat. She is 6 for 7 lifetime. That defeat was 2 starts back by a head in the Grade 1 coaching club, American Oaks. All the Todd Pletchers got in just the other day, so this is going to be her first time stepping on the racetrack here this morning. She's just going to go out for an easy gallop. You can see Todd Pletcher walking right beside his Kentucky Oaks winner right here as Todd Pletcher seeks his 3rd Breeders' Cup Distaff victory. He won in 2004 with the Shadow. He won in 2015 at Keeneland with Stop Charging Maria. Malathot and Todd Pletcher are walking out to the main track here. Todd, this is going to be your first time stepping out here on the main track for a gallop.
She is one of the horses that people feel could beat the mighty Latruska, the queen of the division, Malathot. 3-year-old filly, yeah, she's the queen there, but now she takes on Latruska, who's been the most consistent older distaff horse in the country. We'll come back with the work for Malathot leading up to the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff right here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
There's something about when you get up early, prep the plane, and you take off, and you get that first light of day, and the air is crystal smooth. You can see forever. You have to have the right aircraft for the right flight with the right crew up front. Only NetJets can do this. The flight dissolves into the background. It should just be the here and now.
They're off in the United Nations. Fantastic is sent hard to take the lead. Fantastic has been there every step of the way. Fantastic. Shakes loose with a quarter of a mile to go. He's in front by 2 lengths. But it is fantastic to take him coast to coast in the United Nations.
155 and in the back, 150,000. Jody, thank you.
Fantastic. Standing at 3 chimneys.
Malathot out on the track here at Del Mar. Welcome back to Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. I'm Todd Trupp alongside Simon Bray. Trainer Todd Pletcher sending out Malathot and the Longines Breeders' Cup distaff with the task of trying to beat Latruska.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's got a great chance, right? I mean, look at her record, 6 for 7. She's an imposing daughter of Curlin. I think she's going to get better as she gets older. Her form was held up. She beat the Clairiere, who came back and won the Cotillion. So the horses behind her have been performing well. Look at her here. I mean, she's just standing there taking it all in. I mean, I think as she gets older, is only going to get better. I mean, looking at her physically there.
She's always destined for greatness. She was purchased for $1,050,000 at the Keeneland September sale back in 2019, owned by Shadwell Stable, and that is the other part to the story here. Yeah. Shadwell Stable in a transition period right now, but has meant so much to racing across the globe.
Yeah, unfortunately, the passing of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Al Maktoum, Mohammed Al Maktoum, earlier this year. So there's been a downsizing. They just sold a lot of horses in Europe last week. They're going to sell more, and the idea is to go ahead. I think Sheikh Hamdan's daughter is going to take over the operation, but focus on quality over quantity.
And there's trainer Todd Pletcher watching this workout for Malathot. Okay, so we've learned a lot about other trainers and their methods. And with Malathot, she did have a work October 22nd at Belmont. There is, we don't know for sure if this is going to be a gallop or a workout.
It's a gallop. That's good. It's her first day.
It's her first day here. So, yeah. What are we looking for Malathot?
We're looking for Malathot to see how she's moving, see how she's taking in the surroundings. You don't want it to do too much. Sometimes first day after travel, horses can be exceptionally fresh. I referenced it with Hot Rod Charlie. First day after a day in the barn after working, they can do too much. But she is very, very kind indeed. Exercise Rider does have the walkie-talkie on. I saw that when Todd was walking out. He does use walkie-talkies, as we've talked about earlier in the week as well, to communicate with the riders if something happens or if they want them to do something a little different, pick up, go a little faster, go a little slower, particularly in works. But the walkie-talkies are also good if something unforeseen happens on the racetrack. If a rider is busy galloping a horse and maybe there's a loose horse on the backside of the racetrack, you can alert them. And you can see she's just looking around, very kind to gallop. She's not pulling, she's not aggressive. And just taking a peek around at the surroundings, you can see ahead. She's just looking at the grandstand there. And this is a key day for an exercise rider. This first day on a racetrack, they want to get them around there. Look at her there, very attentive. We always talk about the ears. Her ears are pricked. She's looking around. She's very attentive. She's coming down the front side here and looking at the grandstand for the first time. There's people in the grandstand. There's camera operators. She's just right behind us right now. So I like that. Look, another horse comes up on the outside of her. She doesn't get too aggressive. She picks up the bridle a little bit, but very manageable. That's a sign of a filly with a great mental disposition.
Daughter of Curlin out of the AP Indy mare Dreaming of Julia, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Malathot enjoying her surroundings here at Del Mar and looking fantastic out on the racetrack. Your Kentucky Oaks winner this year. We've been telling you about Stiletto Boy, the Iowa Derby winner, and now he is out on the racetrack.
Yeah, there he is. And slightly different. You see he's got his head bowed. The exercise rider knows. He started off the gallop with a short rein. You can tell this horse wants to be aggressive, and he didn't want to give him too much rein to begin with. Got his hands down his neck, got him locked in there, and to just hopefully keep that pace around the racetrack here.
A horse that always seems to win the beauty contest is Raging Bull. He always looks great, but I cannot figure him out in the afternoons. Sometimes he comes through with his grade 1 form. Other times, I don't know, but there's no doubt when you see him in the mornings, you know who it is. It's Raging Bull.
Yeah, he's a good-looking horse. He was the horse in the piece at the top of the show we bought you and the FedEx package. So, 24 hours ago, he was getting, taken off an airplane in a FedEx pallet. Here we are. The next morning, he's galloping on the racetrack. Looks none the worse, the wear for it. But you're right. He's a tough horse to figure out. I think mentally, things are going to go right for him. And like Chad said, when he drops too far back, I think he's his own worst enemy. If he can get involved in the race, then he usually puts up a better effort. He needs pace to close into. I think he's going to get that. But he's that type of horse that if you don't use him in your wagers, he's going to jump up and win. If you do, he usually always runs second or third. Tough horse to figure out.
And he has some success here at Del Mar.
Yeah.
He has started here previously. That was 3 years ago, back in 2018. He took the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby, his customary running style, from well off the pace. So he is familiar with the Jimmy Durante turf course, and Raging Bull getting aggressive out here in the mornings, preparing for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund.
Perfect first day after traveling. You heard Chad said they'd walked for a couple of days and then, walked a couple of days and then shipped. So just to reiterate, you're always a little worried first day out on the racetrack, but you can see he's got some enthusiastic energy, but without doing too much.
When are we going to be using the turf course here this morning? Because we
later
opened
on
it
this
yesterday.
morning. Yeah.
Okay,
later on this morning.
So a horse like Raging Bull, he's just out on the main track. Will he eventually get over this turf course? Or is that not necessary between now and Saturday?
That's not necessary. All the work is done. I mean, the turf course is going to be for some workouts. Most of these horses have done their work. I would imagine some European horses and some foreign horses would like to get over the turf course.
A horse that is preparing for a turf race that we've been watching on the main track here for most of the week is Channel Maker.
Channel Maker for trainer Bill Mott. We've seen him. We've talked about him, veteran horse. And, I think he's pretty straightforward. And we know how good he is because he's always thereabouts in these big races. He likes to be involved early. Remember, he ran so well in this race last year. What kind of surprised me, he was 9-1 last year because he came in with some good form. He doesn't quite come in with the form that he did last year. That would be the concern for me. He's 0 for 5 this year, but he's just a veteran with that high head carriage.
Over the last, I would say, 40 years, name a great jockey. And you could probably associate that jockey with jockey agent Ron Anderson. He is coming into the Breeders' Cup with big chances for his clients. He's also with Michelle Yu.
Thanks, Todd. Right now, we are not booking mounts, believe it or not. We are looking at Ron Anderson's 36, you said, Breeders' Cup wins?
Yes, 36. Yeah, I'm quite proud of. With all the great riders I've had and all the great opportunities. I actually was fortunate enough to win one the first year with Royal Heroine, who they're honoring John Gosden tomorrow night, or Wednesday night at the Gregson Foundation. So I go back to year one, and yeah, it's all exciting for me.
That was your favorite because it was your first?
No, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it's close, but there's been a lot. I mean, a lot of just great stories, great lead-ups to the fact, like I tell people, it's not easy to get here on this and be on the right one because the weekends can conflict and the horses can conflict, and you got to be lucky, and you got to be smart and lucky, and a lot of luck involved.
When you decide, okay, this is one of my favorites, is it because the horse ran well, the jock did good, or you picked the right mount?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things. Sometimes you're politically tied. Mm-hmm. You ride a lot of horses for one particular entity, and you kind of have to shade your attention there. Then there's other times that you have 2 or 3 chances, like in the last couple months, and they might show up on a different day or on the same day. Yeah, there's a lot of luck involved.
Do you ask your riders for input, or did they just trust you blindly? Because if it was me, I would trust you blindly.
Well, they trust me, yes, but at some point, sometimes I ask them for some input. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to work for Fernando Toro many, many years ago, who, if I'm considered a good agent, it's probably because his tutelage for 10 years. You're going to pick these. I'm not going to pick them. I would go, hey, Fernando, we could ride a... No, you're going to make this choice, not I. And I think I do a pretty good job. But at times, you sat on a horse. They have their good days, their bad days, and their good stretches. Sometimes you need some input. And obviously, I've worked for guys that are on a different level. They are, like I tell people, are gifted athletes, they're gifted horse people, and they really know what they're sitting on. So lots of times I'll just ask for a little input.
Has there ever been a time when a rider was like, I know he's not the best horse in the race, but I want to ride this horse?
No, I don't get that. They want to be on the best horse. It's like they be on the right one at the right time. No, I don't get a whole lot of that.
How many mounts do you have booked between your 2 riders for Breeders' Cup?
Wow. Well, what do we got? 20, there's 13, 14.
14?
Okay. Johnny's going to end up on 11 or 12, and Joel's going to end up on 12 or 13.
Looking to be adding to that list right there on your phone, right?
We're hoping, yes. Thanks.
Appreciate the time, Ron.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
Ron Anderson, agent extraordinaire, Todd.
John Velasquez and Joel Rosario. What a coupled entry Ron Anderson has there.
Yeah, just, I mean, the biggest problem he's got is April 15th next year.
That's right. The Federales would like to see how you did the previous year. Tarnawa, she did very well last year in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. She is back for more, and the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. We'll be checking in with her as she gets to the racetrack. And look who's out on the track. It is our own Christina Blacker. Christina, give it. First of all, how's it feel to be back up on a horse and out in the mornings?
It feels good. I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous. I don't want to be in the way, but I'm actually right behind Tarnawa. She's going by me right now. Very, very struck by this mare. She has a real engine. Simon, when you see her galloping by, you'll be able to take a look there at her hind quarter. So strong. Her coat looks good. She looks in great shape. I had a chance to see Malavas, the filly that has a couple really nice races in France under her belt. Big turn of foot. She's tiny, but she looks very athletic. I want to say thank you to the Ellett family. Mary, Tom, and Cindy are the riders and pony riders here at Del Mar and really through all the Southern California racetracks. They have lent me Sizzler, my ride here, for the week. So we are going to keep an eye on a few more horses and let you know what we can see down here on the track.
Giving you all angles of these morning preparations here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. Simon, Tarnawa, since she took the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf last year, hasn't had a whole lot of starts. She's had 3 starts this year with a minor Group 3 win, but last time out, she had a very, very good second in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe over some very, very heavy ground.
Very, very heavy ground. And that would be the question. Did that take a lot out of her? That was testing conditions, 1.5 miles, deep ground, beaten by a German horse that day. She ran extremely well. I just want to keep on with it, keep the footage of her here, just jogging first time up. I like her. She's very professional. Look, if you're watching her, you're like, man, she's got some funny markings. What's that line down there? So you'll see this with European horses a lot this time of the year. That's what's called trace clipped. So they actually have given her a haircut, and you can see the lighter area around by her body and the darker area on top. So they've trace clipped the majority of her body. And what's the reasoning and thinking behind that? This time of the year, especially in Europe, you know, horses' hair coats tend to shift and become winter coats as the weather gets cooler, and more importantly, as the daylight hours become less. It's a photolytic reaction, I think I got it right, where the horse's hair coat, they start to grow a winter coat to keep them warm. It's nature's way of saying keep them warm. You can see the horse to the side has got the blanket on. But what you don't want to do when you come to a climate like this, or when she's going through exercise, is to keep that thick winter coat. When she exercises, she sweats too much. It'd be like you going out for exercise and keeping your warm-up jacket on and your Under Armour jacket on throughout the workout. You'd sweat profusely, lose a lot of weight. We don't want to do that with horses. So especially where the equipment is, the girth goes around there, you can get very sweaty if you don't clean it properly. They get girth chafes, causes all kinds of problems. I'm getting very technical now, but the bottom line is that trace clip is there for that reason. They keep the top half warm, so it keeps the horse's kidneys warm. So it's like the natural blanket that the horse has in front of her over her back and her hindquarters.
And when it comes to where the Breeders' Cup is being held here at Del Mar, it's going to be perfect for all contenders because we're not going to get oppressively hot and humid. It's going to be 74 degrees this Saturday.
Yeah, the challenge for the Europeans is that the horses do typically kind of tail off this time of the year. I mean, obviously they've had success here, but I tell you why. It's a shortened race season. They tend to have condensed races. They can't space them out as much. And for that reason, you know, the daylight hours get less, the cooler weather and the temperatures, certainly aid in the horses losing their coat a little bit.
Winner of the Prix de l'Opera, the Longines Prix de l'Opera last time out, Group 1 at Longchamp, is Rogier. And we're looking at her out on the racetrack, just adding to what is one of the, I think, deepest renewals we've had of the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf.
Yeah, I mean, she's a 3-year-old, of course, so she ran in the similar sort of race on the undercard of Tarnawa. So she made the same sort of trip. You know, and again, it's just how these horses are going to come back off a tough effort shipping halfway around the world. That was very testing conditions that day, but I like the way they're behaving. Christina Blacker touched on this earlier. European horses are not accustomed to seeing horses come at them. When they exercise, no matter what part of Europe, they're usually going on a straightaway gallop, a straightaway course, and they don't have horses in close vicinity coming at them head on. So they're jogging the wrong way here. They've got a pony. European horses always like to have a lead. They very rarely train on their own. They'll always go out with another horse to lead them out onto the track. Colts in front, fillies at the back of the string for obvious reasons. We don't want to start creating more animals here out on the racetrack, so they put the fillies at the back behind the colts.
Well, look, we're not going to have anything like heavy ground or good or yielding, but this turf course this time of year is very different than the turf course that we have during the summer. We had a very arid summer here in Southern California, long stretches with no rain. They've actually had some rain within the past month, but it has been very, very cool. And this time of year in November, this turf course is going to have more give in it.
It's going to be perfect racing ground. The horses can just get their toe in it. The ground will not be an excuse for anybody this weekend.
Christina?
Guys, I'm following Marsh Lorraine. She is out right now for just a bit of walking. You notice that the Japanese horses end up being on track for quite a long time. They take a good long walk to start. Yesterday, she galloped a full 2 miles on the racetrack and then took another good long walk, and here we are following her. And actually, that is Mary Ellett, one of the family members that lent us Sizzler, the pony. So she's been working with the Japanese horses to make sure that they're accustomed to her and to her ponies. Marsh is going to go ahead and keep circling here for quite some time. They've been going back through the paddock to finish up the afternoon or the morning works and just doing everything they can to make sure that these horses are as acclimated with their surroundings as possible. They've actually been here at longest of the international runners. That very first opportunity, October 25th, that's when the first flight came in with the Japanese runners. So they've had plenty of time here. I'm just going to go ahead and hook up with the pony and get back out for a little bit more serious work. So we'll keep an eye and see what the remaining morning routine looks like for Marsh Lorraine here.
And Japanese interest in the Breeders' Cup just keeps growing year by year, and they've been very active out here in the mornings. And another horse coming out on to the track right now.
There's Christina there. She's going to be, I wonder if she'll be able to walk tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, she's in great shape already.
Yeah, but it's a different set of muscles you're using.
And there's a look at A Case of You, preparing for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Yep, and you can see a little different build there. Sprinter just getting a little warm between the legs. That would be expected. That's what that white foam is back there. I always get asked that question. What's that white stuff on a horse? Well, that's sweat. And you can see A Case of You. Just, again, these Europeans won't do too much here. They'll just be jogging the wrong way. A horse coming off a victory in the Prix de l'Abbé. That's one of Europe's premier sprint races. 5 furlongs. You look down and say, yeah, the same distance, but there's not a turn in sight. That is 5 furlongs straight away. That's Usain Bolt going down the track 100 meters. That's what the Prix de l'Abbé is in Longchamp. So I guess the ability to handle a sharp left-handed turn will be the case for A Case of You.
And we're going to have some extra insight into the European contenders. Michael Adolphson with Dubai Racing TV is going to be joining us on the set here in just a few minutes. Give us his thoughts on some of the horses coming to the United States here for the Breeders' Cup, as well as some horses he likes who are based here in the U.S. We'll be back after this.
Introducing the Equibase app with all new features, including Smart Pick, smart handicapping made easy. Choose your track, choose your race, and then go to Smart Pick. Select your level of risk, the size of your wager, and which of these 3 strategies you want to emphasize. Smart Pick will then tailor your very own selection and bet amount. It couldn't be easier. Smart Pick, one of the exciting new features in the Equibase app. Download it free of charge today.
With the TVG app, get expert analysis and free handicapping advice from here. Place a bet in just a few simple taps from here. And even stream races live from here. Access, analysis, and action from anywhere. Get cash back for finishing second or third on all Breeders' Cup races. TVG. Onto the app. Off to the races.
Back here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup from the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, here with Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher, who just got in yesterday and overseeing his horses hitting the main track here at Del Mar for the first time today. What is your starting point with something like this? Travel day for your horses, maybe you haven't had eyes on them for a day or two. Where's your starting point when you come to the barn and assess your horses?
Well, first of all, you just want to see how their energy level is, how they ate, and you know, fortunately everyone shipped in well, and you know, we didn't do a whole lot today, just went out for an easy gallop, but everybody seemed to get over the track the way you'd want them to, and so far so good.
Specifically your Kentucky Oaks winner, Malathaat. You just had a close eye on her on the main track right now. How did she take in all her surroundings today?
She did everything like she always does. She's a pro and went out there and handled everything really well. She actually benefited. We took her out when it was a little busier on purpose because she's the kind that kind of takes everything in, and she'd stay a little more focused with some other horses out there. Where with Life is Good, we took him out 5:30 when things were quiet.
For Malathaat, how have you seen this filly progress from the summer at Saratoga now coming into the fall here?
We love the way she's training. She's put in some really good breezes. She's gained some weight since the Alabama, and that was what we were kind of set out to do. So I think we've done enough with her to have her fit and ready to go, and she shows up and runs well every time, and I expect her to do the same.
For a 3-year-old filly like her, taking on an older mare like Latruska and a multiple Grade 1 winner, how big of a jump up is this for her going into the distaff this year?
Well, it's always a challenge, but, you know, at this point we're going into November of her 3-year-old year, so she's not far away from being a 4-year-old herself, and she's a mature filly. She's a strong filly, and, you know, she's very talented. So, you know, I feel good about the way she's coming into it.
Life is Good was on the track early this morning as well. I know he was 5 cents on the dollar in the Kelso in his last victory, but visually, what did you see that day at Belmont?
Well, the main thing was we were wanting to see if he'd settle a little bit, which he did, and you know, he ran a straight course the whole way. He dropped down to the rail, which, you know, had been a problem for him in some of his other races. So what we've seen from him in the mornings is he's a very impressive horse to watch train, and he's been you know, very solid for us. He's always been very professional, so we're just hoping for more of the same.
You won another graded stakes at Belmont with Following C. He won the Grade 2 Vosburg Stakes. After that victory, you weren't entirely committing to the Breeders' Cup. Why was there some slight hesitation after that race, after he won in the Vosburg?
Well, we're trying to figure out, you know, what the best opportunity for him was, and we took a hard look at maybe just waiting for the Cigar Mile, Grade 1 opportunity for him. But basically just sold us, you know, every day since the Vosburg. He's trained great, and came back with 2 really good breezes, and we figured, you know what, sometimes take what's right in front of you while they're doing well.
Appreciate the time. We'll let you get on with your morning. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier this year here at Del Mar when Dr. Post came out for the TVG Pacific Classic. It was a rare visit by Todd Pletcher to come out here. Like, during the year, he doesn't normally come out here. Obviously, he's here for the Breeders' Cup. Is it an advantage for trainers like, say, Chad Brown, who ship horses out here consistently throughout the year, and now the Breeders' Cup is here, or does it not matter anyway?
I don't think it matters when you're dealing with this level. I mean, you know, Todd's one of the best trainers in the game the last, you know, 15, 20 years. Shipping is not an issue for him. Logistically, he can handle it. So if you got the horse, you know, I think there's no issue there. He's in good hands, and she looked great, Malathaat, on the track.
Let's get back out onto the track with Christina Blacker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey guys, we're out here in the chute, and I am joined by Keith DeSormo and Frankie and Ovi class here as well. And talk about class. Keith, tell me just the maturity of this young horse to stand here quietly like this.
I was just trying to explain it to you. It's cool that he can come on the track. He pulled me to the track. He was pretty excited and aggressive, and we had the state vets, and that also got him on the bit, jogged up the shooting back, and then he had the ability to break out of that and calm down and stand right here before he goes out the train. So that does show some maturity, like you say, in class.
Shows you a lot about him. Frankie, what's he like to be on when you're actually out there on the track in the morning as far as the gallops go?
Well, excitement.
Yeah.
Excitement. I'm just excited. Just doing good. Just waiting for that day.
What's the plan today? What are you guys doing today?
Just galloping, give him a nice, relaxed gallop, and whatever he wants to do, whatever he's happy with. That's all. His name said it all. Obvious class.
It's true. He is so classy just standing here. Keith, any specifics in terms of position, any place you would like to be with this horse later?
Maybe a little towards the outside because he's obviously not a speed horse, so he'll be coming a little off the pace. To be able to sit off the pace without having to maneuver too much and get a bunch of kickback, that would be nice. So 7 on out would be perfect for me.
All right, well, you guys get on with your morning. I appreciate it. I mean, I can grab that if you need help. Have a good one, guys.
No, it's not what we
some good labor to employ there with Christina Blacker and the DeSormo barn. Ovia Class turned a lot of heads when he broke his maiden here at Del Mar. Then he had a good effort in the Grade 1 American Pharoah last time up, but he is a late running type, so he's at the mercy of the pace.
And that's kind of what Keith was expressing there. Didn't want to get too far in behind and get a lot of kickback, sit back, make a nice wide move and a clean run, and just be picking up horses late.
Ovia Class in the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile presented by TAA, part of Future Stars Friday. The wagering menu Friday. With those 6 Breeders' Cup Championship races, we have 10 races in all on the card. Also note the times. 11:55 a.m. Pacific time is when we will get started on Friday. And then an even more expansive wagering menu and a lot more races with 9 championship races on Saturday. It's the 2 best days to be playing the races, and there's more interest than ever. Hong Kong going to be taking a couple of races. Japan going to be taking a few of the races from the Breeders' Cup. They are going to break handle records of which we have not seen in many, many years, and you should be involved with all the great wagering opportunities over those 2 days and get involved with TVG. As a TVG account holder, we're offering a money-back special on those Breeders' Cup races for second or third on all the races at Del Mar, along with the Breeders' Cup Championship races, but you have to be a TVG account holder. TVG is the official wagering partner of the Breeders' Cup. When we come back, we welcome on to our set a very special guest. Michael Adolphson from Dubai Racing Television will be here with his thoughts on some of the foreign contenders in this year's Breeders' Cup.
You know this type of place. You might even work in one. Hot, sweaty, uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be that way. Big-ass fans keep you cool, comfortable, and productive in any type of space. So no matter where you are, think big. Get cool.
Catalina Cruiser. He won 7 of 9 starts coast to coast with 6 triple-digit buyers and 5 dominating graded stakes wins, including a record in the Grade 2 True North Stakes. A son of leading 5th crop sire Union Rags. A $370,000 yearling with an imposing physical and one of the best of his generation. There's only one Catalina Cruiser, now standing at Lane's End.
When a new wave calls, you answer. When adventure calls, you answer. When the surf calls, you paddle out. When sunsets call, you find the best view. When the sand in your toes calls, you put more sand between them. When the ocean calls, you wave hello. Because when happiness calls, you answer. San Diego Happiness is calling you back.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup continues here on TVG from the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. One of the debates that we've been having on social media and on Twitter. You can see it when you go to TVG's Twitter handle. It's going to be at TVG. We have been trying to find the best race call in Breeders' Cup history, going back to the inaugural running of the Breeders' Cup in 1984 at Hollywood Park. We started with the round of 16. And now we're down to the final 4. Only 4 remain. We are calling it the Fanatical 4. You have a 1 taking on a 5. You have a 2 taking on a 14. Zenyatta versus Cigar. Tiznow versus Ali Sheba in 1988. But let's begin first with Tom Durkin in the 2001 Breeders' Cup Classic from Belmont Park.
Tiznow looms in second. Saki is there on the outside. Guided Tour fights on. Galileo's under a heavy drive. He's still 6 lengths behind. Include will put his run through on the rail. Aptitude is taken wide by Gander. And the field turns for home. Here comes the Equiner. Saki, and he storms to the lead. Saki in their lead. And Tiznow is battling on. The American Horse of the Year. And the Equiner are heads apart with a Ferrum to go in the Classic. On the outside, Saki. Tiznow fights on. Here's the winner. Desperately close. Tiznow wins it for America. Beating Saki right on the wire. Finishing third was Albert the Great. Machola was fourth.
They come to the top of the stretch. Crypto Clarence is kicking in now, and he's moving into contention. He's just 5 lengths off the lead. Then it's Lively One. 49er is now the trailer as the field comes to the top of the stretch. It is Cutlass Reale and Walkpoint. Ali Sheba set down for the drive. Personal flag is moving through an opening toward the rail, seeking the goal on the outside. They're coming to the final furlong. Walkpoint is tenacious. Ali Sheba is right there, and on the outside, seeking the gold. Ali Sheba with the short lead. He's unyielding, seeking the gold. A final move as they come to the wire. And Ali Sheba, America's horse, has done it.
Love that particular race call as well in 1988 at Churchill Downs. It is known as the Midnight Classic, and I love how Tom Durkin ended that as well. He said Ali Sheba has won the world's richest race, and now he's the world's richest racehorse because with that victory in the 88 Breeders' Cup Classic, he became the all-time leading money earner at the time in 1988, passing John Henry. So that was a look at the matchup of at least 2001 with Tiznow with Tom Durkin's call, and then quite a few years before that, it was Tom Durkin in the Midnight Classic in 1988 at Churchill Downs. So that is one side of the bracket, and then on the other side, you have Zenyatta with Trevor Denman's call in 2009, taking on a 5 seed with Tom Durkin's call in 1995 of the Breeders' Cup Classic at Belmont Park. So, I mean, you start looking at this, Todd, when you start looking at the 4 remaining choices that we have, I mean, this is going to be a 1 versus a 2, isn't it? This is going to be Zenyatta in 2009 versus Tiznow in 2001, Trevor Denman versus Tom Durkin, and both of those call, Todd, definitely one of their best in their careers.
I mean, that's the way it should be. The moments were great, the races themselves, and 2 of the best race callers of any generation captured the moments perfectly. So we look forward to the results of that final. Taking a look at one of the contenders and the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. This is Adaria, who ran against Rogier last time out, Simon, in the Prix de l'Opera, as we said, over that very, very heavy ground at Longchamp.
Yeah, I mean, look, she won this race last year. Obviously a very good filly for trainer James Fancher. Again, she's been trace clipped, you can see, with that hairline there. Not quite the filly she was last year, but she's had some good performances, so we need to keep an eye on her. I just don't know whether she's quite the same type of horse that she was a year ago.
And coming out onto the racetrack here to eventually go in the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, daughter of Wooten Bassett out of the Green Tune Mare, Green Bananas. Speaking of bananas, what's going on in social media, Simon?
I mean, can you believe this? It's fairly quiet. Social media is the existence. I mean, for me, it's just the toughest thing to navigate through social media. And usually we have a lot of feedback back and forth. This week, it's been typically quiet. I'm looking for it to pick up in the next 48 hours. We do have a few self-serving comments, though, that I want to get to. Thanks to our friends at ABR for providing this segment. Pat Cummings, many of you know him in the industry. He's a big fan of this show. Look at this. I sure hope that TVG submits an episode of Breeders' Cup, Breakfast of the Breeders' Cup for an Eclipse Award. The coverage has been sensational for some time. The substantial loss works for key contenders, thanks to the team and sponsors that have made it possible. Pat, we'd love to submit it. Unfortunately, there's language in there. It excludes shows that produce workouts in the morning. So, I mean, specifically in there, that language. So, appreciate the feedback. People watching at home, Todd, looking at the workouts, deciding how they're going to play the races this coming Saturday. This is a horse player, veteran horse player that you know very well, one of Dave Weaver, one of our colleagues' big friends, Kevin Fabian. Big player for Dave Weaver. He said $100 win-play show on Max Player, and that came in specifically after the Max Player work, so he likes Max Player. And then another one yesterday, Megan Murphy. Look at this. Throw back to the past. My friend Vicky Vincent took this long ago picture of Simon Bray and Jerry at the Breeders' Cup at Hollywood Park. That was 1997 at Hollywood Park. Look at me there. Had a flow in Maine that day. I mean, that is absolutely priceless. Flock of seagulls right there. And my man Ollie Bell, who's one of our colleagues in England, he goes, I looked at that tweet for a second. This will mean nothing to most of you unless you follow Premier League here. He goes, I thought it was Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp is one of the best Dutch strikers to play the game. He played for Arsenal for, I think, from like 1996 to 2007. His big fear was of flying. Didn't like to get in an airplane. They called him the non-flying Dutchman. But what do you think, Bergkamp or Bray? I mean, look at that.
I mean, you were both in that kind of shape, too. I mean,
exactly.
You did play. So, did you play English football? What did you play?
No, I don't play football. I played rugby.
You played rugby?
Yeah.
Oh, so no pads or anything for you, or helmets?
No pads for me. You got to remember, rugby is a hooligan's game for gentlemen. Soccer is a gentleman's game for hooligans.
Simon Bray, you are always a gentleman. Thank you for the latest in Twitter talk.
You're welcome.
And we do have the post-position draw coming up later this afternoon, so all these preparations have happened, and now you hope you get the post where your horse has their best chance. You will watch it all happen. 14 championship races will be drawn. That Future Stars Friday, I should say 15. 6 on Friday, 9 on Saturday. That'll be coming up at 2:30 local time in the paddock here at Del Mar. We got all the coverage for you here with our TVG team, and look forward to our co-hosts, Brittany Urton and Nick Luck. More going out on the racetrack. Royal Flag out there now. But when we come back, joining us, one of the sharpest minds and opinions in thoroughbred racing around the world. We'll be talking to Michael Adolphson from Dubai Racing Channel.
Longines. Speightstown. Munning. Echo Town.
It's Echo Town for Joe Talamo, and Echo Town raced away.
And Echo Town is drawing away in the stretch. Echo Town wins the Alan Jerkin Stakes.
A sire line so prolific, it repeats itself. Echo Town.
There's something about when you get up early, prep the plane, and you take off, and you get that first light of day. And the air is crystal smooth. You can see forever. You have to have the right aircraft for the right flight with the right crew up front. Only NetJets can do this. The flight dissolves into the background. It should just be the here and now.
With the TVG app, get expert analysis and free handicapping advice from here. Place a bet in just a few simple taps from here. And even stream races live from here. Access, analysis, and action from anywhere. Download today and get a $300 risk-free bet on the Breeders' Cup. TVG. Onto the app. Off to the races.
Breeders' Cup apparel and products represent everything the Breeders' Cup stands for. Handcrafted, expertly designed. Own a piece of the events that defines an industry. Available at breederscupshop.com.
Welcome back to Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup on America's Horse Racing Network TVG. But they have come from all over the world to be part of the 38th edition of the Breeders' Cup World Championships this Friday and Saturday at Del Mar. And making the trip as well, Michael Adolphson of Dubai Racing Channel. Michael, good to see you again.
I'm always happy to be back here, and especially with you guys.
And the foreign interest in this year's Breeders' Cup really at an all-time high with 56 pre-entries. What do you look? The Breeders' Cup is a great destination point always, but what about Del Mar? What is the allure for European-based horses?
I think it's just the guarantee of quick ground. It's when horses are coming over here, they're not always. I think the Europeans in general, and especially with the Japanese coming in, they want that faster ground. They want to feel their feet rattle. The ones that are coming, the ones that needed the soft ground, they weren't going to come at all. They're going to wait for an eventual Breeders' Cup return to Belmont or a Keeneland where they might have a chance of cutting the ground.
And the weather has a big part, right? I mean, not only the ground, but you're guaranteed, the ground is not going to change, right? And logistically, I think for horses coming from Japan, easier to come into the West Coast too.
Yes, and you're looking at, if you look at the Euros that won last time, you have your Mendelssohn and Waheda. They love the quicker ground, and those operations really know what kind of horses to bring. And when the big operations win, the smaller operations like the George Bowies, et cetera, come in and they see that and they want to come in and chase the same fruit at that point. I think it's going to be an extremely competitive Breeders' Cup, and I would not be surprised if the Euros and the Japanese take home a few.
Okay, well, let's run through a list of horses that I wanted to ask you about. Let's start with Matera Sky, just staying with the Japanese-based horses for a moment. Matera Sky coming out onto the track here at Del Mar. In fact, right now, the last time Matera Sky was at the Breeders' Cup, it was 2019, and it was against Matoli, who I think is one of the best winners of the Breeders' Cup Sprint we've ever seen. Matera Sky didn't make much of an impression then. Do you think he could improve since that time as a 7-year-old?
I think he will be prepped for a proper run here. He had a bad post that day. He was stuck on the outside. He didn't break as well as they would have preferred. He's extremely quick if you look at his Saudi races. If he runs those races, he has an inside post. He's as quick as any American horse out there, and I think he can get to the front if he's drawn low. That's going to be the key, and he also presents an amazing amount of value. I feel like in this spot, if you look at his past performances, he's run his best with 2 or 3 months off after his previous race. And, look at both of his Saudi runs and his Golden Shaheen win. His Golden Shaheen second place. And it would be nice, to be honest, to see him take home a Grade 1 before he retires at the end of the season, because he was second to XY Jet, and we know all the controversy to that in the Golden Shaheen.
When you think of Japanese horses here this year, and they've got a record number of participants as well, is Love's Only You the best chance for Japan in the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf?
She's the best chance of anything they've ever brought. I think she's the class of the race. Even with Love in there, even with Warlike Goddess in there, she's simply beaten better horses than she's going to face.
You really, because I thought the depth was pretty significant this year in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf.
I think it's the best renewal we've had. If you take out Ouija Board and her 2 wins.
Okay, that's a strong statement.
And I feel like you're looking at 6 or 7 Group 1 winners from 6 or 7 countries at that point. It's just a strong, complex field. The thing about Love's Only You, she loves 10 to 11 furlongs. She's going to get that here. She loves quick ground. She can turn left really well. She proved that at Maidan. Her race at Maidan would win this. Yeah. Her race in Hong Kong would win this. She just has to get lucky. And not get boxed in, because the stretch is quite short here. And she's not an instantaneous burst like her brother Real Steel, who won the Dubai Turf. She has a bit of a sustained grind to her, so she has to get a little lucky, but she is the best in my opinion.
Yeah, the key for her is turning for home. If she's in the clear and can put in that run, if she's in behind horses looking for a spot, it's hard. The analogy I like to use is she's kind of like a truck or a bus. It takes a while to get it going when she gets a full head of steam, but you can't tap on the brakes and restart that run. She's extremely good. I mean, that effort in Dubai, Todd, and the Shima Classic was so good.
You can't miss her out of the track. They've got the exercise rider has a Loves Only You jacket adorned out here, and she has been a presence every morning here at Del Mar. Loves Only You, a very strong pick by Michael for the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. Godolphin, always a presence here, and bringing over very good horses like Space Blues going in the Fan Dual Mile. What do you expect from Space Blues? I think his best wins. I think the mile will be fine with him. He's a 7-furlong horse on softer going, but he can handle any kind of track. His run in the Prix de la Forêt was phenomenal. Yep. I was lucky enough to be there for it. He looked amazing before the race. He's going to get a proper 5 weeks out of it into this. Charlie knows what he's bringing. He wanted to bring him last year. He thought he could win it then at Keeneland. If he can win it at Keeneland, he can win it here. He's going to love this ground. If you watch his race here, he's just instantaneous. He's about a furlong out when they ask him, and he just consumes this field. And this is really slow going. For horses to turn to show that kind of turn of foot over heavy ground is really exceptional. I forgot how good this was. Watching this a second time.
We talk about it all the time. How deep turf usually dulls a horse's burst of acceleration. It didn't there, and I think Michael touched on it. If you can get 7 furlongs in Europe, you can always probably get a mile here in the States. If you get a mile, you're going to get 9 furlongs probably on these tighter tracks. So he has got a massive shot, and Charlie's had a great year shipping to the United States this year.
Yeah, he's figured out how to do it, and he's rubbed our noses in it a few times.
Helps when you have your own 747 to bring the planes around the world.
We have Future Stars Friday with great 2-year-olds, and you really respect DeBowie Legend, who's coming off a second-place finish last time out. DeBowie Legend will be in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf.
If you look at all 3 of his races, they've all been pretty exceptional in different ways. His first win was just a lightning turn of foot, and then in his last run, he ran a very similar race to Mendelssohn. I think there's very little difference between him and Mendelssohn at this point. They both have pace. They both have a second gear turn of foot. They can position themselves really well, and they both have trainers who can get it done. So I think that he's going to be maybe a proper value in there. He has to draw well. Mendelssohn was lucky enough to draw low and save ground. And if he doesn't draw well, look at Modern Games as an option as well.
As far as American-based horses, and I noticed on your Twitter you went and took a picture of Malathaat. You love her in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. What is the attraction to Malathaat?
Oh, by the way, full disclosure, it's no home cooking with Shadwell. No. Michael used to work for Shadwell.
Yeah, I just think that she's exceptional. Horses like that, I'm not going to mention her too much in the same breath of the horse like Ali Sheba quite yet, but the horses that only do so much to win. They just do what they have to do. You never can trust their numbers of how fast they really are and how good they really are. She's more tractable. Even though she's more tractable than people realize, I think she will be handy. I think Todd knows well enough that he's going to have her in the front or near the front by the time they turn for home on this short stretch. And she is a 10-furlong horse. So that extra stamina, going back to 9 furlongs, I think he'll use her a little bit more in the race. I wouldn't be surprised if she just grinds it out and wins, very similar to Forever Unbridled a couple of years ago.
I agree with you. I mean, this was her this morning. She looks like a filly that wants every part of, mile and eighth, mile and a quarter she's developing. And I agree with you. I think to rudimentary handicappers, sometimes they look down, they want to see the 4, the 5, 6-length blowout wins. This is a filly that I think there's still more in the tank there. She's going to do what she has to do to get it done. And you can see that in a gallop here. She's not going to put too much into a gallop. Very smart racehorse, and I think she's going to run a big race.
Just look at the scope of her. She's just a big, strong,
better next year.
Yeah. And she will be returning next year.
Oh, she will then?
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Michael Adolphson, one of the sharpest minds in thoroughbred racing, also a great follow on social media. If people want to follow you on Twitter, what is your handle?
Adolphson Racing.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you so
my
much.
friend.
Yeah, good job.
When we come back, we're going to head to the beach, but for a good cause. We'll explain when we come back on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
You know this type of place. You might even work in one. Hot, sweaty, uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be that way. Big-ass fans keep you cool, comfortable, and productive in any type of space. So no matter where you are, think big. Get cool.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of emerging sire of sires, Dubois, standing in Kentucky. His picture-perfect pedigree includes 9 Grade 1 winners under the first 3 dams. Dubois and his sons and grandsons at stud have established stars on both turf and dirt. Now his first foals have arrived. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
All right, here we go. We're back here on Breakfast with the Breeders' Cup. Bill Mott happened to be sitting out here on his pony, so I thought we'd have a quick little chat. Bill, as far as the horses that trained today, what did everybody do and were you pleased?
We just trained 2 horses today. We trained Channel Maker, who is out on the edge. He's actually and also eligible on the race right now in the turf, so he may not even get an opportunity to run. But we had Horologist back out on the track. She just jogged this morning. She had a nice work a couple days ago, and she seems to be doing very well. The other horses breezed yesterday, and they all just walked the shed today, but all look good.
Art Collector looked so good out on the racetrack yesterday. We saw you watching him. He moves so fluidly, so smoothly. Is he really thriving right now?
He really is. I mean, he's coming off a 3-race win streak, and he seems to be doing well. I mean, he's got a lot of confidence right now, and he seems to, he's just a horse that's doing well. I mean, you can tell just by looking at him. He's in good flesh and seems to be happy. So we're crossing our fingers, and we hope that it stays that way for another 4 or 5 days.
What is your feeling on the pace? So much speed in the classic.
Well, we know that. I mean, I think everybody knows that Nick's Go is going to
go
burn on out of there, and it's going to be a catch me if you can kind of race. So, as far as the other pace horses, I'm sure Baffert isn't going to let him go on his own. He's got a horse with some speed, that Medina Spirit. And, everybody else is just going to have to settle in and take their place. But I don't think, I would doubt very much if anybody's going to take the lead away from Nick's Go leading the gate.
Casa Creed is pre-entered in 2 races. We draw today. Have you made a firm decision as far as entering?
Casa Creed's going to go in the mile. We made that decision really last week. I mean, we looked at it. We looked at all the sprint races here going 5/8, and he's one of those horses that's kind of in between. He's in between, 6 furlongs and a mile. I mean, 5/8 is a bit short for him. I mean, I'm sure he would be coming with a good run, but going 5 furlongs, he'd probably run out of room to have his best chance.
Last question, how's your granddaughter doing?
Margot is doing great. Yeah, 8 weeks old tomorrow, and she's good. She had her Baby Yoda costume on yesterday for Halloween, and I got a few pictures, so it made me smile.
Well, good to hear it. We've got a wonderful team cheering you on. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Send it back to you guys on set.
Talk about time going by fast.
Here's the crazy thing. Okay, I worked for Bill Mott 22 years ago, everyone knows. Riley Mott, who's his son, who just had a granddaughter 8 weeks ago. Riley Mott was this big. When I was working.
Now he's having kids.
Now he's having kids.
Yeah.
What is going on? I got no hair. Dennis Bergkamp's not playing soccer anymore.
But
Bill Mott's still winning races.
And he is at the highest level, one of the greatest trainers American racing has ever produced. Bill Mott talking on horseback there with Christina Blacker. And the more I watch Art Collector in the mornings, the more I'm convinced he has a chance in that classic.
Yeah, I mean, look, he presents himself well, but that's typical of Bill's horses. I mean, they always look good. He's not going to bring a horse out here just for the sake of bringing a horse out. Presents himself well, and, you know, I mean, tactically, he said nobody's going to get Nick's go. You just have to kind of settle in and just hope that he's going to come back.
One of the other horses mentioned in that conversation was Casa Creed, who will be running in the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. The ownership group of Casa Creed, led by Lee Einsiedler, have pledged 25% of the earnings of Casa Creed in that race to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. It is a cause that all of us need to support, and the sport of thoroughbred racing, and Lane's End has done exactly that with this special fundraiser, where you can actually purchase some surfboards with the proceeds going to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. For more on that, Mike Joyce went to the beach with some of the jockeys we'll see at the Breeders' Cup.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Newport Beach here in Southern California. In preparation for the Breeders' Cup, we've got a great promotion going on thanks to our good friends at Lane's End. You see these commemorative surfboards that'll be ridden by me, Mike Smith, Joe Bravo, and Drayden Van Dyke today. You're going to see a lot of the stallions represented on these surfboards. Are going to be all over Del Mar for the World Thoroughbred Championships the first weekend in November. Afterwards, they're going to be auctioned off, and all the proceeds will go to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. So it's for a good cause. We came out to the beach today. It was 53 degrees. The water's even colder than that. And I'm dressed like an absolute fatted seal. So we're going to have some fun with this. I hope you do too.
You'll just kind of simulate like you're paddling. You're just doing a push-up like you're standing on the ground. So it's just one quick motion. You guys are pretty athletic. I think you guys are going to do really well.
This is going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen. It better happen. We better be able to get up at least one time.
All right, you guys ready for your first surf lesson? Yeah. Who's up first?
I'll go first.
All right, let's do it.
Go, stand up, man. Go in the tube, dude. Yeah. That's good. That dude.
That's pretty damn good.
Hey, what? He was in the tube, man. Yeah!
Hey.
Oh, yeah, dude. If I just had hair.
No, are you kidding me? You're hydrodynamic.
Come on, Michael, get up.
There we go. Yeah, Mike. Yeah. Look at Drayden go.
Yes,
yeah, Drayden.
Yes.
That'll be you, Joe.
5 a.m. this morning, they showed me a video of sharks.
They did not.
They got me a little nervous.
Sharks only eat like guys under 5'2". Guys, did we have a good time or what?
That was amazing.
Awesome. All right, and remember, we're going to be auctioning these off for the PDJF right around Breeders' Cup. Check it out. Commemorative Lane's End boards. We've got the ones that we rode and the one you rode, Mike.
Wait, hey, where'd he go?
Where's Mike? Where's Mike with West Coast?
lot of fun out there on the beach. And thank you to Lane's End for this fantastic idea, which is going to raise a lot of money for the permanently disabled Jockeys Fund. We have a lot more action coming up here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. We got glass slippers coming out onto the track, preparing for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. But we are going to reset the show and welcome in some additional viewers.
Gunrunner reaching for the wire, collected alongside, and then comes West Coast and War Story, but Gunrunner's on top of the world! He wins the Breeders' Cup Classic!
In 2017, Gunrunner punctuated his Horse of the Year campaign with a dominant victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic. This year, the World Championships return to the Seaside Oval, and the biggest names in the sport have assembled at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Who will rise to the occasion and emerge as this year's definitive star? TVG brings you all the action as the competitors and their connections make their final preparations for the biggest weekend of the year. Welcome to Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
You're watching Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup on America's Horse Racing Network, TVG, and we take you on horseback right out to the main track here at Del Mar, where there's been a lot of activity as we get so close to 2 championship days of racing this Friday and Saturday at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Welcome. I'm Todd Schrupp alongside Simon Bray. Everyone seems to know the song when you go to the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, where the turf meets the surf. Take a plane, take a train, take a car. But Simon, in modern thoroughbred racing, air travel is crucial. It was a little bit more difficult this year.
Very difficult this year because the main charter, Tex Sutton, based in Kentucky, they had some leasing issues with their plane. And the majority of the trainers here in the United States rely on that plane to ship horses around the country. It's very horse-friendly. They roll up to local airports. Horses walk in, walk off. How did they overcome that? Breeders' Cup, in conjunction with FedEx here, rented 2 charters to ship the horses out here on pallets. That's not packages coming in there. That's not an Amazon overnight. That's Raging Bull coming in for the Breeders' Cup Mile. He's in that pallet. They take the pallet off the plane. They move the pallet to a ramp, and the ramp straight onto the horse van. Those horse vans line up side by side, and they empty that pallet of plane. That plane. There were 28 horses leaving San Diego Airport at about 1 p.m. yesterday. This footage brought to us by courtesy of Kent Barnes, who was working down there helping FedEx and the local authorities there transport those horses up to Del Mar, about 40 minutes away. They landed about 12 noon p.m. the time the plane touched down. 1 p.m. they're out of there. It takes about an hour to get all the horses on and off safely. So tremendous job. Hats off to the Breeders' Cup for coming up with that solution along with FedEx.
Yeah, great job by Dora Delgado and her team. The horse that was in that pallet you're talking about, Raging Bull, was actually out on the track here this morning. That's how smoothly the whole operation has gone. Speaking of smooth, how about the team that is covering all of this action for you? We will be back later this afternoon for the post position draw, which will take place in the paddock 2:30 p.m. local time. It will be hosted by TVG and NBC's Brittany Urton, as well as NBC's Nick Luck. And we will have 15 races drawn for you starting at 2:30 Pacific time. You don't want to miss it, as post positions are so crucial in each and every race. Back into the action on the track. Speaking of post positions, that'll be a big deal in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Glass slippers, one of many foreign entrants into this year's Breeders' Cup, as they had over 56. It has been a record year in so many levels, and we're going to see that certainly in the amount of money that's going to be wagered over these 2 days. Would you be wagering money on glass slippers? The last time she was here, she did win the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Keeneland.
Yeah, at 10-1. She's one of 8 returning Breeders' Cup winners. And she brings in the exact same 3-race win streak that she brought into that victory last year, except it was a second in the Qatar Stakes, a win in the Flying Five, and a second in the Prix de la Baie Longchamp. This year, she has run 3rd in all those 3 races. Has she not improved? Has she regressed? Are the races a little tougher this year? I'm not sure, but I don't think she's far off from what we saw at Breeders' Cup last year. She's proven she can shift, she can handle the turn. And she makes a nice appearance here out on the track for the first day. She's feeling well after that long journey from Europe.
Glass Slippers trying to make it back-to-back wins in the Breeders' Cup. Ooh, whoa. Let's stay with Glass Slippers there. Okay, that was just a minor hit. You can see the exercise rider doesn't seem to be too concerned, just kind of laughing, and everyone's still going about their business.
That's just because the horse is feeling good, but that underscores what I've been talking about all week. You've got to limit the risk. You don't want anything going wrong. They're just jogging the right way. I don't know whether they've been given some going to gallop or given some special dispensation to jog the right way, but we'll see. She's just getting a lead here, and obviously Glass Slipper's feeling very, very good there.
Latruska is the dominant horse in the Distaff division. She is a heavy favorite in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. She's also been a big part of our shows this week. She had an incident in her final major workout where an unexpected horse joined her in the middle of that workout. She came out fine, and now we see her out here this morning not under tack.
Yeah, okay. This might be unique to a lot of North American viewers, but it's not unique to horses that come from South America, and particularly these connections. So let's back it up to Saturday. She had that work. Sunday, she stayed in the barn and walked. Now, first day back, we've seen a couple of horses that we've touched on. They either jog, they have a light gallop, or in some instances, they do this. She's just going to gallop with the pony. So she's going to go once around the racetrack in a slight gallop, but without the weight on her back. And that's something that you see a lot in South America. They do this in all the Latin countries quite a lot. So don't think of it as anything, a red flag or alarm that she doesn't have a rider on. It's just an easy way, an introduction back to the racetrack after a day off.
And for a horse at her level, Latruska has had 22 starts lifetime, 17 wins, comes in on a 5-race win streak, 4 of them Grade 1 wins. It's just remarkable to me that she could go out there with a pony horse under these circumstances and be that docile all the way around, because she can be very aggressive. Obviously, in the afternoons, she loves to get out on the lead and just dominate her competition, but here she's very relaxed and obviously knows the routine.
Yeah, but they've got a tight hold of her, you see, and they're not going to let her give her head. They just put the bridle on, but it's just a way of controlling her, so she won't do too much first day back at the racetrack.
Okay, so the last time we saw Latruska made national headlines. Latruska, with her final major workout out on the track, everything was going smoothly here. As Simon said, this is just a few days ago. Taking a look at Latruska, about to break off her workout, and then you see she goes up inside of another horse there. Okay, so now we're just going to keep going on. All of a sudden, that other horse rejoins her, and now we've got 2 horses working out side by side, not by design.
Yeah, both horses should be working solo, but the issue here was that the horse on the outside, trained by Richard Baltus, was positioned in front of Latruska down the backside. It was Latruska that jumped in. She was working, started her work a little earlier. The horse on the outside was working a little shorter. The analogy I've used all week, this is like coming onto the freeway on an on-ramp. You've got to pick your spot and be cognizant of the traffic that's not only in front of you, but behind you. So there was no fault of the horse to the outside there. It's just an unfortunate mix-up. Fausto Gutierrez said, look, it happens. He wasn't too frustrated, but he couldn't believe that in a racetrack there were only probably about half a dozen horses on it, that it would happen. It's just an error of exercise rider, I think, not just being aware of what's going on in front of him. And do you hold that against him? Well, he's probably just so focused on his horse and getting to the pole in one piece and in the right manner that he probably didn't see the horse in front of him.
And so while it was a lot of talk about what took place, Latruska has come out of that incident just fine and is still on track for the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff as the heavy favorite. We continue to watch her here galloping out on the track or being ponied around the track for what is expected to be about 1.5 miles.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't see this very often. I mean, some trainers do it. Some trainers train horses like this. I mean, I never did it in my career unless a horse had a back issue like a sore back, or you weren't able to put the saddle on the horse because maybe there was some sort of sore or chafe on the back there. This is the way to exercise them without having a rider on their back.
So Latruska campaigning here in the United States, everything pretty normal for her as she would ship to other racetracks, coming out here to Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. But we have horses coming from all over the world, and before they can come out of the track, they have to clear quarantine. Back by the quarantine barn, Michelle Yu.
Thanks so much, Todd. As you can see behind me, this is what the normal barns at Del Mar look like. Very open and airy. The quarantine barns are those, but they have been now converted to meet the USDA standards. So if you take a look over here, we're actually going to get a bird's eye view here of the quarantine area. You can see the mesh screens have been put up, so they still allow for some airflow, but it's a little bit more secured. Each individual barn has its own doors to go in, and they are secured by a keypad. Every time you come in, you have to be checked before you walk just into the quarantine gate area. And then as you go into the actual barns, you have to stop, get your feet washed and sanitized. When the horses are first here in quarantine, before they've cleared the set amount of days that they have to be here, they all have to be wearing the like white hazmat type jumpsuits that are just disposable. So you'll see people meandering about in those. Now that these horses have all cleared quarantine and they're just in here, it's a little bit more lax as far as that goes. But this is where all of the import horses spend their days and their mornings as well. I've even seen some of these people covering Breeders' Cups for the last several years bring in their own bottled water to try and make their horses feel like it's home. So there's a lot of homey touches going on in there, but there's a peek behind the gate of the quarantine facility, Todd.
Simon, what's it like for the human connections who have to help their horses in quarantine? Is it boring? Is it tense? What's it like back there?
It's not. It's just you know, it actually works out well because they've had a long ship. They need the time off. Facility is not ideal. Sometimes it's tight quarters, but they seem to handle it well. I mean, obviously they have to go through it. You're going into the whole USDA thing there, so that's, you know, rules and regulations have to be followed. But yeah, it's only for 48 hours, and it's not a big deal for the horses because they're going to rest after a long trip like that anyway.
And we're going to see a lot of those horses that are clearing quarantine on tomorrow's breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. We've already seen some. Also kind of odd, it's gotten colder here as we've gone along, as we started to get later into the day. We are going to come back with more horses preparing for their championship moment here on breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
At PNC Bank, we believe in the power of taking steps forward, moving ahead, whatever the pace and whatever the size. That's why we set out to help make it easier for everyone to move forward financially. With small business, personal banking, wealth, and corporate solutions that help you reach your goals and plan for the future.
It's a girl.
We're doing everything we can to help you get where you want to be. Because sometimes a little help is all you need. See how we can make a difference for you at PNC Bank.
It's difficult to get a sire that can upgrade your mares like this stallion can.
This horse does produce runners, very talented runners, 3-year-old runners, Derby contending runners.
This horse is priced where anybody can afford to breed to him, and if you're trying to improve your mare, he's a horse that's shown he can do it.
There is no younger AP Indy that moves his mares up like he does.
Welcome back here to Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. I'm Michelle Yu, joined right now by Christophe Loyal, who's the assistant to Christophe Clement and his very interested pony. Christophe, I caught up with you first thing this morning. You guys just got here, and I saw Gufo first off. Tell me how he took to the track this morning and how he schooled for you.
Gufo actually was here last year for the Hollywood Derby, so he seems to have settled in nicely. The flight was, without any inconvenience yesterday, and I think everything is a go so far.
How cool is he as a horse? Because over the last 3 years, he has been campaigning at these high levels, and he is just so consistent.
Yes, he's very, very consistent, and he always knocks on the door. If he doesn't win, he's always in the frame. And no, he's a picture of consistency, and he's very good to be around, and he always tries. So.
Talking a little bit about him just from a physical standpoint, when I look at him, I didn't think 1.5 mile type horse. Did you guys always know he'd want to go this far?
No, as a 3-year-old, he would go to 8 mile and a quarter, and then, this year, and we stretch him out, and it seems to have worked. Obviously he won the Sword Dancer at Saratoga, and it just physically, I think he blossomed into a very nice 4-year-old, and just here and we try to see what happened.
You have a couple of juveniles in as well. First, I want to talk about Darien. There's only one juvenile turf sprint. Is it a good time for fillies to try boys?
At that time of the year, we think so. Obviously, at the end of the year, it's just so many options anyway. But I think she deserves to be there, and she had a nice win in Canada last time, and she's a trooper because wherever we take her, and she's amazing. I mean, she acts like she's a 3-year-old filly. She never backs off the feed, and she traveled like she's been there all the time. So.
Pizza Bianca, we got to see on track a little bit earlier. Do you think her last race she was kind of hindered by being drawn inside?
A little bit. She's a very lightly raced filly. She broke her maiden at Saratoga, and we ran her in the Natalma at Woodbine right off the bat. And she showed up. She was second, got beat by a very nice filly from Godolphin. And she came back well. The only thing is, we probably think that she's a little bit better on the softer turf, or at least with a cut in the ground. But she's doing well enough, obviously, in order to try, yes.
And then Slipstream going to be in the juvenile turf. Now, this horse has only sprinted before. Why opt to go the route?
Because at Del Mar, we believe that, tactical speed is, like a factor. If you have tactical speed, obviously, it's always nice, especially here. And, he doesn't seem to be a really, really 5 furlong type of horse. We always believe that he could stretch a little bit. I know he won the Futurity last time, going 6 furlong, and but he did it well, and Joel never really asked him until the last 1/8 of a mile. So basically, he's a horse wherever you are in the race, you can place him, and he's got a great turn of foot. So
I really appreciate the time, Christophe.
No problem. Thank you.
Christophe Clement's barn going to be very busy, especially on Friday, guys.
That's the first time I've seen him on horseback. Usually, it's in the afternoon of the races.
He used to exercise horses. I've known Christophe a long time. All the years back, 20 years back when I was back in New York. He's worked for Christophe his entire career. So, yeah, long-time assistant.
Okay, we will check in with more horses and more connections here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. Looking out on the track, a contender for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint Caravel for Bobby Flay.
Yeah, Bobby Flay got a couple of runners. Pizza Bianca we just heard there, and then Caravel in the Turf Sprint. I think could be sitting on a big race. Comes in off an effort at Parks last time out. The ground was maybe a little softer than ideal, and this is a horse that I think could really outrun her odds for Bobby Flay.
We'll be back with more on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, including introducing you to an up-and-coming jockey in the world of thoroughbred racing.
With the TVG app, get expert analysis and free handicapping advice from here. Place a bet in just a few simple taps from here. And even stream races live from here. Access, analysis, and action from anywhere. Get cash back for finishing second or third on all Breeders' Cup races. TVG. Onto the app, off to the races.
There's something about when you get up early, prep the plane, and you take off, and you get that first light of day. And the air is crystal smooth. You can see forever. You have to have the right aircraft for the right flight with the right crew up front. Only NetJets can do this. The flight dissolves into the background. It should just be the here and now.
At Calumet Farm, we're proud to offer proven stallions to fit every breeder's needs. with over 72 million in progeny winnings on dirt and turf. Our diverse roster is producing the champions of today and tomorrow. Calumet Farm, a legacy reborn.
It starts with a dream, and if you have faith, there is reason to believe. And when you believe, add patience and time, and the horse of a lifetime could be waiting inside. Alone and in partnership, we breed, raise, race, purchase, sell, and stand world-class racehorses. Come dream with us. Three Chimneys, where dreams are born.
One of the goals of Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup is to teach you about some things behind the scenes. And we told you on our very first show about the trainer's chart. This is a look into Brad Cox's barn out in Kentucky. Caton Bradar was with him as he prepared his horses for the Breeders' Cup, but he has a reach all around the country, and that's a look at his trainer's chart on his desk. Simon Bray has been keeping his own trainer's chart here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, it's the trainer's version of a daily planner, right? You saw the example of it there Brad Cox was writing. Usually it's a calendar month, and trainers use that chart to plot the course of each and every horse. And we're giving you a snapshot of it each and every day here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. So we'll focus in on to Monday as we head into championship weekend. This is what has played out thus far through 3 days. We're on day 4 today. And the 6 horses we're focusing on: Essential Quality, Knicks Go, Hot Rod Charlie, Medina Spirit, Jackie's Warrior, and Latruska. I won't go through each and every day, but let's just revisit what happened yesterday on Halloween. Essential Quality, Knicks Go. You saw them on the show. They both worked 5/8 of a mile at Churchill Downs. They are flying to California today. They're scheduled to get on the plane at 1 p.m. Eastern. So they both walked. We'll mark up the training chart just as Brad Cox would there with the same annotations. Very basic, right? W walk, they'll walk. Hot Rod Charlie, he worked 7/8 of a mile on Saturday, so he walked yesterday. We saw him gallop today with the pony. We'll just put that in there, gallop, and then a little P by the side, gallop pony. Medina Spirit, he worked all the way back. He was one of the first works we showed you on the show Friday morning, so we followed him. He actually walked on Saturday, jogged yesterday. He galloped this morning. Jackie's Warrior, 3/8 of a mile yesterday, so he walked earlier this morning. And then Latruska, the well-publicized workout on Saturday morning, 5/8 of a mile. She walked yesterday, and she galloped with the pony. You just saw her about 15 minutes ago on this show. So that's in play thus far. You can see as we move into championship weekend, what one would expect to happen for the rest of the week is gallops here, maybe an odd day of gate schooling depending on the horse and what the trainers want to do. And that's how we plot out the week of these 6 major contenders here leading up to championship weekend, Todd.
Literally can see the plan coming together with each of those horses. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Simon. Our money back special offer for TVG account holders is available for the Breeders' Cup. The 2 biggest days for wagering, the 2 biggest days in thoroughbred racing to decide championships. TVG's at the center of it all. As a TVG account holder, you can opt in for the money back special on all those races at Del Mar, including the undercard, both days, Friday, November 5th and Saturday, November 6th of the Breeders' Cup. TVG, the official wagering partner of the Breeders' Cup.
Here in Pennsylvania, we're proud of our breeding program, the best in North America. But we're also proud to be leaders in this industry. The PA Horse Breeders Association is funding cutting-edge research at Penn Vet into equine health and safety. And we endorse the SAFE Act to help protect the most vulnerable horses. Plus, we're pleased to support the aftercare programs set up by our horsemen's groups. Just a few of the reasons why you should join us in Pennsylvania, the premier place to breed and race.
You know this type of place. Might even work in one. Hot, sweaty, uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be that way. Big-ass fans keep you cool, comfortable, and productive in any type of space. So no matter where you are, think big. Get cool.
Introducing Gift Box, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragazin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Gift Box, new for 2021, only at Lane's End.
Longines.
Breeders' Cup apparel and products represent everything the Breeders' Cup stands for. Handcrafted, expertly designed. Own a piece of the events that defines an industry. Available at breederscupshop.com.
There are 2 championship days of racing at the Breeders' Cup. Friday, which is billed as Future Stars Friday, with 6 championship races, and then Saturday with 9 Breeders' Cup championship races. The Friday edition features 2-year-olds, horses that hold so much promise as we look to next year. How appropriate that in the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, aboard Hidden Connection, is an up-and-coming jockey, a future star himself, Raylu Gutierrez. To find out more about this jockey, we had Kate and Bradar have a cup of coffee with him at Keeneland.
All right, I invited you for a cup of coffee, but there's no coffee. But you said
that's all right.
Oat milk.
Yeah, I love oat milk.
Okay, are you a health nut?
I am, and that goes back to just everything, school and everything. But I love oat milk. I don't do anything else. No almond milk either.
All right, well, Raylu Gutierrez, Ray, I am excited about this because I don't often get the opportunity to talk to the new generation of riders, although
Right.
I have been watching you ride for
thank
a
you.
while, and you've kind of made a splash in a short period of time. But tell me a little about yourself. You come from a family that's involved in racing, but you're kind of new on the scene.
Right. Been riding about 3.5 years, and I started pretty late compared to my peers. A lot of guys start at 16, 17 out of high school. I started at 20, almost 22, out of college, and I was on purpose. And
Well, wait, so you started late, but your family was involved. Your father is a trainer,
Yeah,
right?
my father's a trainer. My uncle is a jockey. I have 3 uncles who are jockeys. My dad's brother, my brother-in-law, and cousin of the family, Carlos Dominguez. So it's just.
But did you not want to get involved in racing growing up?
Initially, no, I did not. My family never pushed me to be anything with the horses. I just did it as like a lot of kids growing up, summer job, and I would go during my high school recess and college semester breaks. I'd go sleep in the dorms, work with my dad in the Belmont Park, and I just normal. But I never thought of it as a career, just because my family's big on education. My sister, my cousins, they're professionals, and it was just it wasn't really planned to be a rider. But when I was hitting that graduation period, I looked at my FAFSA, I looked at those student loans, and I said maybe I should kind of try it. And I've always loved the horses. I was a little bigger. I was muscular, and I lost the weight fairly easy. And when I started riding, and it's been such a family affair. I mean, my family support, my friends support, and it's really cool.
Well, I want to backtrack a little because you got a college degree and you were actually working in something before you ended up working on the racetrack. Is that right?
No, I worked for my dad, and I worked at a supermarket. I was a deli boy.
Okay.
So I was just normal, but
so deli boy to Breeders' Cup.
Yeah,
jockey.
I guess. Yeah, Wade Supermarket.
What's your degree in?
Exercise science.
What drew you to that?
I got hurt my senior year playing lacrosse, I tore my meniscus, and the high school trainer, his name's Cesar, he helped me fall in love with it, and the surgeons at Thompson Hospital and just everybody there. I really fell in love with it, and I wanted to become a physical therapist. That's my best friend, Alex Barrow. He's a physical therapist. He's the son of a trainer that I grew up with my whole life, and that's what I wanted to be.
Do you find that has come in handy for you while you've been riding?
Absolutely. Just watching your weight is, it's a big percentage of being a rider, and a lot of guys, they can grow into their bodies over time, and you learn that, you have to adjust your body, listen to your body as you get older, and not only that, as you ride, your muscles get heavier, your bones get heavier with age, and you can't lose things as quickly. So it's definitely helped me regulate, how many proteins and carbs and sugars I can have every day.
When you made the decision to become a jockey, were there any people in particular that were helpful to you in that career?
Yeah.
Was it just your family, or
my family in general, but just the whole Finger Lakes racetrack backside? They watched me grow up, and everyone had this, they wanted to get me out of there, and I love my hometown. I love going back, and everyone was trying to you got to go somewhere else to succeed, and I really do. Every time I go back to ride, I just thank everybody there, because without them, I'm not here. And my first 64, 70 mounts, I lost on purpose. It wasn't my idea, it was their idea. It just put me on a lot of not the best horses, but to get experience for when I do go somewhere else.
So from there, where did you go, and how did you end up where you're at now?
From there, I went to Gulfstream Park with Bryce Soth, and from there, I stuck on the NYRA circuit, and I actually went back to Finger Lakes after Saratoga last year. I bought a house up there, and I stayed for the meet. And actually, today, a year ago, I closed on my house, so that was pretty good. I literally noticed that this morning. And but yeah, I was today last year. I was also the closing day of Finger Lakes, so from Finger Lakes to Keeneland because of Jose Santos.
Jose Santos Jr., who is the son of a jockey as well, is your roommate, your agent, and now has got you in line with the Breeders' Cup Mount Hidden Connection.
Right.
Talk about that relationship a little bit.
It's great. I mean, for someone you can just talk in every way, but it's life. We both went to college. We're both the son of people involved in racing. We're both really passionate about what we do, and we're roommates, but we're rider agents. It's personal, it's professional, and it's really just, he told me to go to Sam Houston in January. I didn't want to leave New York. I was just like, whatever, and I took a leap of faith because of him, and from January to now October, going into November, we're at Keeneland Racecourse winning some races, and that's pretty cool. So I give him a lot of credit.
Have you mapped out in your mind your plan for the Breeders' Cup and for Hidden Connection? I know you've worked her, you've ridden her, you know the filly, but you're going to Del Mar for the first time. You're going to be riding in a different place, in a different caliber competition. What's your plan? What's your preparation?
My plan, well, Heko Zulu, she's quick. She's hasn't been 2 turns yet, but Juju's Map will be right there, and those are 2 aggressive, very good riders. And hopefully, we can just come out, run, and be aggressive. The game plan, I would love to get a trip in behind them or sit off, but you just got to adjust, and shorter stretch than Churchill. So we'll see where we're at, but we will be forwardly placed.
Doesn't sound like confidence is any lacking for you at any point.
No, I love my filly, and people say, oh, the inexperience, you're different. Yeah, but if you got the horse, I mean, you'll be all right. And all those guys at one point, they were inexperienced too. Florent had a horse that won first time coming from Hawthorne or something, I believe, and Ricardo and his horses. So, I mean, all those guys in that race, they were at my point. At one point, they got over the hump, and I have Jose's support, my family support, and most importantly, Brett Calhoun and the owner support. So we'll go out there, and she's working really good, so we'll see what happens.
Well, keep drinking that oat milk. It seems to be working for you.
Yeah, it really is. Again, that and vegetables.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Wish you great success.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Raylu Gutierrez on the right track here with the Breeders' Cup Mount.
And Simon, all the good jockeys, while they have exceptional skills, their personality has a lot to do with their success as well. He has the complete package.
He does, and educated there with a degree. You heard, so comes across very smooth, very slick, and just a good guy. And he was on the Irish circuit, and he adjusted. I like the fact that he went elsewhere, back to Finger Lakes, back down to Keeneland, teamed up with a good agent in Jose Santos, and he's having a great time. This is a big, big moment for him with Hidden Connection.
And Hidden Connection has been dominant in her only 2 starts. She's got a major chance in the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. That'll be part of Future Stars Friday. We check in once again with Joaquin Jaime.
Todd, thank you very much. Here with Alicia Hughes, one of our colleagues here at TVG. She is in charge of all the digital content that you're going to find when you go to the website at news.tvg.com. Alicia, when somebody goes to the website, what is exactly there for all these racing fans?
Well, basically, what I'm trying to do with the website is basically have an editorial presence to complement all of the great information and news that is already being put out on air. So in addition to like race recaps and previews, also having feature stories up there, like the one that is currently up there now about Bone Chance Farm, which is represented by 2 Breeders' Cup runners this year, which is pretty incredible considering they have a grand total of like 15 horses in training. They actually had 3 horses qualify with Imperator. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but they have 2 chances in a mile with In Love and Ivar. So that was a really fun story to report out, especially since they've only had a presence in the United States since 2015. So that's one of the things I'm trying to work on, is get kind of like the stories behind the stories out there and get some of those, tales that I said, there's no shortage of stories out here on the backstretch. So just kind of amplify all those great stories that the sport has to offer.
I know we recently started making videos for social media purposes. Some of our top plays, pick 3s, pick 4s, whatever we're putting together. Are videos just going out on social media on Twitter, or are those going to be on the website as well?
Those are all going up. They will go out both on social media. They are all up on the website as well. You can find them under the handicapping tab each day. So like I said, and I know there's going to be a ton of picks up there this week, a lot of expertise going around, so everybody can go there and get the details and the insight on how they're going to handle all these races. It's a lot to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a lot since the 7 original Breeders' Cup races that we're used to. Now we're all the way up to 14. When you start looking at Breeders' Cup week for you, it's Monday. It's officially Breeders' Cup week now. Are we going to expect to see a feature every single day getting into Feature Stars Friday?
God, I hope so. That's the plan. Yeah, basically, as soon as I get done back here, I've got 2,500 words on Mr. Brad Cox and his 2 gray boys set for the Classic, because obviously he's going to have the 2 favorites with Nick's Go and Essential Quality, and Brad is just in the midst of another career year. He obviously tied the record, won 4 Breeders' Cup races last year, and his encore for that is coming back with the 2 favorites. And those 2 horses are really kind of interesting because they've both kind of demonstrated different levels of his skill set. He had a puzzle that he kind of had to put back together with Nick's Go, with Essential Quality. Obviously, he's had from day one, had to kind of identify that talent early and then come up with a way to keep on improving on his inherent talent. So yeah, we can read all about Mr. Brad Cox and how he's going to get these boys to what he hopes to the winner's circle on Saturday for his first Classic win.
Alicia, great to see you out here in California. Have a great Breeders' Cup week. We'll go ahead and let you get up to the press box and get to work.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's Alicia Hughes. Michelle Yule, we'll send it over to you.
Thanks so much, Joaquin. Just want to talk about some of the extra preparation that goes on behind the scenes. We always talk about our equine athletes, and indeed they are treated like so. If you have gone into a football player's locker room or a major soccer team, you'll see a lot of different things going on, such as sweat rooms. You'll see chiropractors. Also, you'll see some of the guys sitting in ice baths, literally ice baths. And some of the horses here at the racetrack get that done as well. Now, there's 2 ways that you can ice a horse. First would be putting them in ice boots. So you actually put big things of ice in these boots that wrap around the legs, and the horses stand in them for 30 minutes or so. The other way to do it, a little bit more old school, is to actually use an ice bath. So this is a big tub filled to the brim with icy water. The horse will stand in it and hang out in there for just a little bit after they work out. So it's one of the cool things that we get to do back here that is very reminiscent of what you see real athletes do. We also have a cold water salt spa on the backside here at Del Mar. Horses go in it and they stand in it for 30 to 40 minutes for a little treatment, and they can do that several times a week. I haven't got that done yet, although I have sat in the ice bath.
I mean, there are just some truisms with all athletes, and ice and that much-needed therapy after any type of athletic endeavor is important.
One of nature's greatest remedy, just the ice cube. And they use it a lot, especially pre-race and pre-workout with horses. Those ice boots you referenced and those ice tubs that Michelle referenced as well.
We hope you enjoy what you're watching here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, brought to you by TVG. We know you're going to enjoy when you download the Watch TVG app following the Breeders' Cup. Follow it in probably the most unique way ever in the history of the Breeders' Cup. Experience the Breeders' Cup like never before with the exclusive multicast coverage on the Watch TVG app. Think about this. On the TVG multicast, the coverage features jockey cameras for every race, contender cameras following each horse from the paddock to the starting gate, a multi-camera view featuring the player show and alternate angles, and even more. Best of all, it's absolutely free when you log in with your TVG account or sign up for a 7-day trial. Just download the Watch TVG app on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, or Apple TV connected device or smart TV to unlock an exclusive Breeders' Cup experience on the Watch TVG app. Download it today.
The November sale is a destination event for buyers and sellers around the world.
The ambiance during the September sale was incredible.
As we move into Keeneland November, I think people will find a new experience, a new atmosphere, new optimism. Anybody who participates, buying and selling, when they participate in Keeneland, they're reinvesting in the industry. That is the mission. It allows us to build for the future, and the future is bright.
The future is bright at Keeneland November.
You couldn't compose a better pedigree. A half-brother to Beholder.
Beholder's gonna go all the way!
A half-brother to Into Mischief.
Into Mischief wins the Kef Call Futurity!
The most versatile performer from this brilliant family.
Mendelssohn's gonna do it! Mendelssohn has won it by a length!
What a win by Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn by a conservative 17 lengths.
Scat Daddy's best-bred son at stud. Mendelssohn.
A quarter of a mile between Cigar and a perfect season. Coming down to the last furlong with a 2.5 length lead. And Jerry Bailey calls on Cigar for everything he has. The Carrier is awakening second. On the inside, on a potted for. On the outside, Sullivan Manor. And here he is, the unconquerable, invincible, unbeatable Cigar.
Simon Bray was there. He was the assistant trainer for Bill Mott that year. And memories from Cigar winning the Breeders' Cup Classic?
Yeah, 1995, and there was so much surrounding that particular race because there was an absolute deluge, if you remember. That was the card that Inside Information won by 13 lengths. Sloppy racetrack, still holds the record for the largest winning margin in Breeders' Cup history. And we weren't sure if Cigar could handle the wet track, so there was a big unknown, and he showed that day he could and went 10 for 10 that year.
And a great call by, obviously, Tom Durkin. This year's Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, the pre-entries, remember they're drawing post positions today for all 15 championship races, but let's take a look at the pre-entries. We got the news yesterday that Idol would not go. We've been obviously watching most of these horses in the mornings. In fact, we've seen all of them here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. Art Collector for trainer Bill Mott has looked fantastic in the mornings here at Del Mar and has been here for the week leading up to the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, we heard from Bill Mott earlier this morning. Look, this is a horse that's typically been on the lead the last 2 starts. Already conceded 5 days before the race. That's not going to happen because of the presence of Nick's Go. We assume he would get the lead. But nonetheless, he's looked good all week. This was yesterday, and he's just having a little blowout here. Certainly looks tremendous. I still think he's got to improve a little bit in here, but he's coming to the race physically in the right shape.
And Art Collector has had a resurgence in his form into Bill Mott's barn and is a serious upset possibility in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's get some thoughts with our reports on the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic with our entire team, starting with Christina Blacker.
Todd, thank you. Today was a big ship day for a lot of the horses that were at Santa Anita to jump on the van and head down here to Del Mar. The first set of vans actually left at 1 o'clock in the morning, so they got here to Del Mar about 3:30 or so. Included in those vans and on those trips, the horses from John Sadler's barn and Bob Baffert. So Tripoli came in very early. I spoke to Juan Leyva, the assistant trainer. He said no problems. Everybody shipped in just fine. Happy to be here at Del Mar, and they will train tomorrow. Same to be said for Bob Baffert's horses, and that does include a Medina Spirit. He shipped in very early this morning, is settled in, bedded down in his stall over my shoulder here. He will train tomorrow, but he will gallop because he worked a few days ago. He's had the chance to have his walk day, now vanning down, and he will gallop here at Del Mar for the first time tomorrow. Michelle, how about your group?
Thanks, Christina. Going to take over from Kaiten as well and just update you on the Brad Cox horses. They both walked today, and they actually should be getting on a plane right about now. They are scheduled to leave in about 14 minutes from their East Coast base, heading over here to Del Mar. Also, Express Train, we saw him work yesterday for trainer John Sheriffs. He is slated to be on a van sometime today to be heading down to Del Mar. And then Stiletto Boy, we were able to catch up with him earlier right before he went out for his gallop at Moser, saying he was going to go out and do a 1.5 mile, nice strong gallop, and he has been thriving since coming down here to Del Mar. Keno?
Michelle, one of the 3-year-olds in the Classic is Hot Rod Charlie. We saw him have his final work on Saturday. It was originally scheduled for 5 furlongs. He was actually credited with a 7-furlong workout in 1:26.4. He walked yesterday, and today Hot Rod Charlie made it back to the track, and he did a jog once around the track with Lava Man for trainer Doug O'Neill, who is seeking his first Breeders' Cup Classic. Art Collector for Bill Mott. He had his final preparations yesterday. He worked 4 furlongs on the main track in 48.2. All positive reports coming from the Bill Mott barn today regarding his Classic contender and Art Collector, who just had a walk day today as he just walked around the shed row for Bill Mott. And finally, Max Player for Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen. We saw him earlier on in the show. He had his final preparations for the Breeders' Cup Classic today. Max Player worked 4 furlongs in 50, a typical Steve Asmussen drill as his horses come into the Breeders' Cup on November 5th and 6th here at Del Mar. So, Todd, that is the very latest and the updates on all your Breeders' Cup Classic contenders.
The Breeders' Cup is a culmination of what's taken place so far throughout the racing year. As these horses have come along, they get their defining moment towards the end of the year at the Breeders' Cup. So it is the Breeders' Cup Classic rankings which change throughout the year. Let's see where we are right now going into the Breeders' Cup. And we look at the Classic rankings here for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, with obviously Nick's Go being near the top, essential quality amongst the 3-year-olds taking on the older horses. The most consistent horse within the rankings, obviously, Simon, has been Nick's Go, but the 3-year-old essential quality at this point has topped him in the rankings.
Yeah, he certainly has. Just by a few points there. These are votes voted on by an arbitrary panel each and every week after these big races, these handicap races around the country, and this is how it lines up thus far. Essential quality. Medina Spirit, of course, sitting in 4th. Maxfield won't be running in the Classic. Will be running later on in Thanksgiving weekend at Churchill Downs. And, of course, Tripoli for trainer John Sadler, winner of the TPG Pacific Classic, checking in with 50 points.
If we were going to justify a ranking based on what we're seeing in the morning, Essential Quality deserves his #1 ranking. He looked fantastic yesterday in his final major workout before shipping out here to Del Mar for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. He worked over an off-race track at Churchill Downs. They had a lot of rain there, but he is loving his work. And Simon, he has not raced since August 28th when he narrowly won the Travers at Saratoga but he looks like an even better horse.
I think so. The time off has done him well. He's trying to emulate the same path as American Pharoah, Travis to Classic. Pharoah, of course, with a defeat in the Travis, but I think the time has done him well. This was an A-plus work, not only looking at the work, because typically he's not a great workhorse. For a great racehorse, he's not flashy in the morning. I thought he was more enthusiastic here. I think physically he looked good, and he is about to get on the plane in about 10 minutes' time, literally 1 o'clock East Coast time, so he's making his way out here.
Trainer Brad Cox with the top 2 ranked horses in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic division. We have some breaking news here on some horses planning to participate in the Breeders' Cup, but will not. Right now, Michelle Yu.
Thank you so much, Todd. I'm joined by the other Todd Pletcher, going to give us a little bit of an update on mind control.
Yeah, unfortunately, he spiked a temperature on us after arriving, and his blood work's not right this morning. So, yeah, unfortunately, we were unable to enter him.
Is that something that is common for a horse when they're, shipping around doing different things to end up a little bit sick?
Well, it's one of your concerns anytime you ship, across country like we did, going from New York to here. It's always one of the things that you're concerned about, and you never know if it's just the stress of the flight or exactly what triggers it, but he wasn't himself. He's usually a pretty high energy horse, and noticed he wasn't showing that kind of energy, and temperature was a little bit elevated, and his white count's elevated. He's just so he's not in any real danger, and he'll respond quickly to treatment, but it wouldn't be the right thing to run him on Saturday.
Do you have a backup plan?
Well, if he recovers quickly enough, I think we could look at the Cigar Mile on December 4th. But, first things first, we'll get him well and then go from there.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
From one Todd to the other.
Yeah, even with a trainer like Todd Pletcher has many chances at the Breeders' Cup, that's ultimately disappointing because you've been pointing towards this the whole year.
It's something that's always in play when you ship, either whether it's across the country or just, 2 or 3 hours in a van. It's what's called shipping fever. Horses ship, they're susceptible to get temperatures and fevers, especially younger horses. That's why all these trainers, each and every day, they will take the horse's temperature, and it's one of the first things you do when you get here after shipping across the country.
Okay, there's other news about a defection and a good horse as well from Future Stars Friday. The Breeders' Cup has just told us in the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Ain't Easy is not going to go. A follow-up to that, Jay Pribben of the Daily Racing Forum has put out that now Joel Rosario will be available for Echo Zulu.
Yeah, so this is how the jockey games play here as we head into big weekends like that. Of course, Ain't Easy, ridden by Joe Rosario, undefeated in 2 starts. He is now going to Echo Zulu, who Ricardo Santana, stable rider for Steve Asmussen, had ridden to victory in 3 starts. That wasn't good enough when a big name comes available. You sit on the sidelines. Look, I'm sure there's some agreement behind the scenes and understanding, at least, in a situation like this, because Ricardo is a stable rider for Steve Asmussen. Steve is not going to make a move like that with Santana if he knows he's got to ride horses going forward. Why would you do that? I'm sure there's some agreement or some understanding going.
The very latest news pertaining to the Breeders' Cup here on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. Gatewood Bell has put together a partnership that will have a big weekend anticipated here at the Breeders' Cup. Scott Hazelton caught up with him.
With Gatewood Bell, the Vice President of Racing here at Keeneland, and we are at the home of the 2022 Breeders' Cup. Keeneland Racecourses that will come back 1 year from now. 1 year. It'll go by quick, Gatewood. What will you and your team do to prepare for the World Championships back here at Keeneland?
Yeah, a whole lot. Hopefully it's more like the 2015 version and not last year's version, where we can have full fans and really give it the atmosphere and the energy that the event deserves. But yeah, there's a lot of prep work will definitely start Monday. So just get this meet over with and start looking forward to next year.
How many meetings go into this with Breeders' Cup with your team?
I'm not the one to ask that. Too many meetings, but they're all necessary. Yeah, a lot of them.
What are you looking forward to most between now and the Breeders' Cup and having the international stars back here at Keeneland?
Yeah, just this community really embraces it, and it's fun bringing the event back to like the center of horse racing and horse breeding with all these wonderful farms and all these wonderful breeders, which is what the event really was founded on. So it's awesome getting to showcase it back here in Lexington. And I think a lot of the people from out of the town and overseas and all across the country really enjoy coming here to Keeneland to watch all these great races. Yeah.
You mentioned that the meetings will start in earnest come Monday after the Breeders' Cup. Have there been any discussions? Are there any things that we can expect, new experiences, anything that you can, show your cards a little bit, or is that all behind closed doors?
Yeah, I think that's all behind closed doors. You got to ask Mr. Fleming that stuff. But no, we're doing some stuff. Any suggestions are open, and we're doing some stuff to our turf course, hopefully to be able to have that in really tip-top shape for everybody come next year, because we obviously run it right after a big meet, and we can't sacrifice the whole meet. But so we're just doing some little things, and hopefully we'll have an awesome experience for everybody.
If you're not looking ahead, you're getting behind. So that's what you're doing here at Keeneland for 2022 with the World Championships coming back. Enjoy the Breeders' Cup this coming weekend, and good luck with all the preparations for Breeders' Cup 2022.
Yeah, man, really appreciate it.
It is a magical rotation right now where the Breeders' Cup is at, to be able to go from Del Mar and then back to Keeneland. We look forward to being there as well. As far as what's going on with this current Breeders' Cup and this Friday and Saturday, the post-position draw is going to determine a lot of fortunes later today. Now, there are some fields where they didn't end up oversubscribed, and so maybe post-position won't be huge. But if you had to pick out some races where it is going to be crucial, what are those races?
Okay, I'm going to pick. People are thinking I'm crazy by saying this. The smallest field on the card, and maybe in Breeders' Cup history, is going to be the Filly and Mare Sprint.
What?
I think the post-position draw is going to be key there, not so much as far as trip, but for tactics.
Okay.
And why do I bring that up? Well, it's Bella Sophia and Gamine, that matchup. Both very quick horses. I think if Bella Sophia gets the inside post, that's an advantage for her, at least to try and take it to Gamine in the early stages. So there's that race. And Captain Obvious here, turf 5 furlong sprint. I think post is key there as well.
What about the biggest race of the 2 days, the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic? Where would be the ideal spots for some of the key players there? So let's start with Nick's Go. Everyone concedes he's going to go to the lead. Does he have to have an inside post? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing for him. I mean, he's one-dimensional. He's going to go. I mean, if he's drawn to the inside, that would, I think, would be advantageous for him. 1.25 miles here at Del Mar. They start at the top of the stretch. So if he is drawn to the outside, I mean, he can get to the lead a lot easier than he would at some other racetracks with configurations, but he's going to have to still work to get it. So I think he'd like to be drawn to the inside. I think the key for the post position there is maybe for the other horses. Wherever Nick's Go is, where are the other horses going to be drawn around him, and how's that going to affect their tactics?
Yeah, everyone is going to have to react to whatever happens with Nick's Go, and that will be the final race. That will be drawn, and at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, you can join us on TVG for that post-position draw hosted by Brittany Urton and Nick Luck. Okay, so yesterday it was pretty easy to look back and say Essential Quality was the star of the show. He had what you called an A-plus workout. A little bit different feel here this morning. We're just kind of seeing these horses come out on the track. When we see the bulk of the European horses come out here tomorrow, what are we looking for from them?
Okay, we're looking to see how they behave on the racetrack. We saw some this morning. I thought they performed very well in the early stages. Tanawa being one of them. Glass Slippers, I thought, looked good. As far as appealing to the eye today and just, a basic run-through, Malathat to me would be the standout as far as a gal. It's only her first day, but she looked tremendous out there. She looks very healthy. I mean, her hair coat is absolutely slicked down. That's what you want to see. Horses tell you how they are on the inside by how they are looking on the outside, and she is as slick as a seal.
Okay, before we finish today's show, we check in once again with Michelle Yu.
The horse, right? Thanks so much, Todd. I'm over here in the Richard Mandela barn, and I was walking through here going to talk to Mandela, but instead I got my eye caught by this handsome fellow right here. This is QB1. The QB actually stands for Queen Bee, which was the nickname of Beholder. We remember her scintillating Breeders' Cup Distaff victory, and this colt also by standout sire Uncle Mo. He has not made a start yet, but we've got some big expectations for him. Maybe we'll be seeing him in the Breeders' Cup one day in the future. That is the first foal of champion Beholder.
Already?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Unbelievable. And one of her biggest performances was right here beating the boys in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Yeah, they still, a career that had so many high water marks. they point to that as maybe the best performance of her career.
I wish someone would just hang a bag of salad in front of me all day long. Just sit there.
I'm actually going to go to the beautiful Windstar Breakfast Marquee.
We'll be going in there this week, hopefully, with a camera or two as people start to come in.
It's great.
Yep.
They have a bourbon ham in the corner. That's fantastic. You know what complements it really well? A spicy Bloody Mary with lots of extra
tune
vodka.
Into the draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We got to work later today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Have lots of coffee up there, too. Next stop for us will be the post position draw, but we are back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern. Going to be a big day tomorrow where we're going to see all of the horses here from Europe. 2 days of championship racing. It's the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar this Friday and Saturday. Thank you for watching The Breakfast at Breeders' Cup. I'm Todd Trupp. Until next time, may all your photo finishes be winning ones.